welcome back here to the Ryan Norberg Pro-Kart Invitational for the exclusive KC Premium member stream of tonight's action. Of course, we've got the semi-pro heat races and the final on deck. So we cannot wait to get things underway. And there's a look at the countdown to green on the right-hand side of your screen. We'll adjust that, make that look nice and pretty for you over the course of the night. But that is the countdown until we get underway with heat number 1, groups A versus D. So that'll be coming your way here just shortly. But you're looking right over at the Coastal Metal, Coastal Link Custom Printing VIP Suites here at Orlando Kart Center. And we get set to go green for the first heat race. This will be only half of the grid. Another half will go right after, and then it'll be about another 30-minute delay here. So with 4.5 minutes to go until the green flag here, that means the grid is starting to get a little bit busy. Let's go down here and take a look at what's going on pit lane as the drivers are getting set and ready for heat number 1. David Land, of course, bringing us the coverage down on pit lane here this weekend as there's a look at Naka Zanella and a couple of his drivers ready to roll. There's Victor Day Allen cars, number 77, RPG Cosmic on the outside lane. And again, everyone on the outside, unfortunately, in group number D, they're going to have to start on the outside all 3 of their heat races here this evening to get themselves hopefully a decent spot for tomorrow or for tonight's main event. I'm used to saying tomorrow because typically that is how the weekend goes. But this is a rack 'em up and run you 5 sessions in about 3.5 hours. And well, one driver who has been no stranger to a busy K's senior schedule has been Nick Terlecki. It's been a little bit since he's run this package, but he looked decent in testing today as he was pulling double duty. Dave?
We're down here with Nicholas Terlecki, and Nick, you're starting right behind the pole. What can you do to get to the front of the field?
I mean, it's a short race, but I know consistency is key, so even if I don't win, you know, it's okay with me. But I know I've got a few clean drivers around me, so I'm hopefully we could just keep a clean race and, you know, we could all finish.
Yeah, in this type of racing with the groups going against each other, it's almost like golf. You want the lowest score possible. You know, how do you, because this is a very tight style of racing, KA100. I mean, are you worried that somebody up here is going to start racing too hard and kind of cause trouble? I mean, can you do anything to prevent that?
Well, you know, knowing everyone makes it into tomorrow, I think everyone's going to be quite aggressive. But I know I'm just going to keep my own nose clean. And I mean, if someone gives it to me, I might have to, you know, give it back, just showing them, you know, we're here to all finish a race, most importantly.
Finishing is important, but it also sounds like it's going to get a little bit aggressive, boys. It's going to be exciting.
Thank you, Dave. That's, of course, Nick Terlecki on the Hoach Driver Development Tony card. He had a top 10 qualifying effort, but like he said, knowing that everyone's going to transfer through, you may see a little bit less conservative driving styles here, because it's going for broke for both a little bit of pride and as well a SCUSA Pro Tour entry to next weekend's race in Orlando, fully funded for the race winner from tonight's main event. But it's just a heat race, and they've still got to make it through 2 more after this one, hopefully with the kart in one piece, or at least not too bent up to be able to get underway. So minute and a half to go now as everyone's suited and ready for this opening heat on the evening. And this one's pretty young, I will say. Looking at the starting lineup that we've got coming our way for this heat, a lot of the junior drivers just naturally have found their way into groups A and D. How about one of the Felber twins there, back of the grid on the RPG Cosmic? Starts on the outside of, looks like maybe the 6th or 7th row. So they've got some work to do from the tail. We saw ZCD work his way up. There's Riley Ramroop, one of the other Dan Devereaux Racing Tony Kart drivers here this evening. Getting set to go. So 50 seconds based on our count of when this when the engines are set to fire here from Orlando. And look at that, Andre Martins is walking around with cash offering someone, and I don't think there's anything that could be coming good from Andre of whatever he's offering these guys before they even get underway with a heat race. I don't know I have no idea what bet Andre Martins is gambling with any of these guys, but I know there's a lot of cash tomorrow. They've got a lot there with them right now, so he's going up, obviously having a good time messing with Nate Cicero, and I don't think that's obviously not all the $10,000 cash we got tonight, but nonetheless, Andre Martins, the owner of Orlando Kart Center, of course, there is the man, Ryan Norberg, the promoter from tonight's Ryan Norberg Pro-Kart Invitational semi-pro event and the pro show tomorrow evening. Timer's hitting 0, though. We should be getting ready to roll these guys and girls off for that opening heat race, I believe, here in just a few moments. So we'll take a moment to keep an eye on everything going on the racetrack. Just get one double check for us and lock in for some heat racing here in just a second. So still a few more moments here before the field gets underway. Of course, Jeremy Fletcher on the left-hand side there, and Nate Cicero will be racing tomorrow off the provisional entry from the Miami USA West operation with Tom Kutcher and Superkarts USA. They've got him into the pro show directly. Thankfully, with the entries tonight, Nate Cicero will get to automatically go as well as the field. But Jeremy working on getting his buddy up to speed. They're roommates over these past couple weeks, hanging out down at Jeremy's house. And Jeremy's been himself and Dalton Dow, his longtime mechanic and coach with him, have been working with Nate here this evening to get him as fast as they can. Tomorrow might be a little bit tougher and maybe a little less data and advice shared. But for this evening, they've got an open book. It's just about getting Nate the best possible starting spot that he can. And while it might be one more go-kart race in the near future for Nate Cicero before getting back into the MX5 Cup Series seat, if he does win tonight, again, that's a fully funded entry to next weekend's Superkarts USA Pro Tour. Outside of him, of course, junior hotshot Enzo Vidmontien in the 895 Trinity Karting Group Kart Republic will help lead the front row to green. Final few words getting given to the drivers. They'll clear the grid, get the engines fired up here, folks, and we'll get set to go night racing. You can see the contrast. Nate Cicero, a dark visor, Enzo Vidmontien, and a number of drivers further back from him, clear visors, because the lights are pretty bright here at Orlando, but it's not exactly the same thing as running in the daytime, for sure. Surprised that Nate didn't want to bring a clear visor down, but to his credit, may not have anticipated getting into this event when he made the first trek down to Florida a few weeks ago to hang out with Jeremy. Engines fired, though. There's the smoke here from the grid, and let's send them onto the racetrack and take a look at how they will stack up for heat number 1, groups A versus D. Enzo Vidmontien taking us out onto the back straightaway. Let's look at the starting lineup here for your field. Down to turn number 10. Oh, looks like timing may have disconnected for us, so a little bit of a timing hiccup for the event. That'll get underway here shortly. In the meantime, we'll get set to warm these guys up. Here's a look at the starting lineup here for the field. Gene Reyes on the outside, I believe. I don't know if that's 100%. I believe it should be Enzo Vidmontien all the way up there, so I think the grid may not have been set properly. Nuno Nate Cicero is set to line up on the inside of the front row, and Nicholas Terlecki in there as well, but they were gridded quite differently than the way that this starting grid lineup has come through from timing and scoring. At least we'll know that when they get on the racetrack and get underway for racing, that'll be correct. It's Cicero, then Enzo Vidmontien, then Nick Terlecki, then it looks like it's going to be Raheem Alabai. Terlecki up and over the curbing. Alabai is going to come under pressure here in a moment. Leo Scorpioni, I mentioned that rear bumper looked pretty loose at the end of qualifying and probably was hindering him a little bit. We'll see if it continues to hurt him or if it did affect him at all, and if that speed is going to roll through for us. So Leo, big run, looking inside for third. He'll take it away down into turn number 4. And Alabai back to 4th. Nate Cicero still following. Lorenzo Vidmontien already with a decent lead on that TKG Kart Republic as they come through the sweeper. And on the move for the black and yellow Zanella Racing Tony car. Look at how much darker it has gotten. The sun is completely set, and we are well under the lights here in Orlando as Scorpioni is feeling it here as the temperatures have cooled down. He has heated up into the inside in turn 10 and clear on Nick Terlecki as Scorpioni to second. While the rest of the field is struggling here early on cold tires, Leo Scorpioni looks solid. Of course, Enzo Vidmontien long gone already down the front straightaway here with a nice and healthy gap back to the rest of the pack that continues to fight further on the grid. So through the, big bobble there from Nate Cicero. You saw him really use up the exit runoff coming out of turn number 4 and popped the right rear in the air. Got lucky, didn't knock the chain off that thing. But back from him, Colin Lloyd, a bit slow in qualifying. He's starting to climb his way up the grid. He's 6th on that pink and chrome Inter-MS machine coming through the S's. So Lloyd picking up one spot there. That was on the number 42 Dan Devereaux Racing machine of Riley Ramroot getting on by. So Colin Lloyd continuing to make up spots on the night. Maybe that'll be his story after a rough qualifying. The downside is he's going to have to do that every single session after qualifying sets the grid for all 3 heat races. So let's watch them across the line for another lap complete here. It's a short heat distance, to be fair. Only 8 laps for groups A and D to run together. Vidmontien at 1.3 seconds out. He's already probably clinched this opening heat race. With Scorpioni, I think going to go into tire conservation mode, just kind of hold station there in second. Back to Nick Terlecki. No need to tear anything up. No need to wear yourself out trying to run down the race leader, who is probably doing the same thing as we're just working the halfway mark in this one. So with Scorpioni to Terlecki, back to Raheem Alabai, then Cicero, then Alexander Vanchev, and then it'll be Colin Lloyd ahead of Ramroot, Victor De Alencar 9th, Eric Questo, Gene Reyes, Chris Gierham, and then Robin Felber back in the 13th spot. We'll put 4 complete, 4 to go here at the stripe for Vidmontien out of the final turn. And a big gap back to Scorpioni. And it's really just starting to settle out pretty nicely here for the field in the first 6 spots or so. And it looks like Colin Lloyd, while he got around Ramroop, hasn't really pulled away from him. If anything, Ramroop's gotten back up to him. So the Kart Republic driver back in 7th might be the closest battle on the racetrack, although Raheem Alabai looked like a good exit out of turn 4. Good run to the opening sector. He's closing in on Nick Terlecki. For Raheem, this is, I believe, only his 2nd national season. He's just started to make some waves into the Pro X30 class, and he is right now on the tails of a driver who had a great rookie debut in that division later last year. Big run, good catch, inside, turn 10, clear. Raheem Alabai moves through to 3rd, and Nate Cicero now closing in to try and get to the 4th spot as well, as we come to the stripe for 5 laps complete, 3 laps to go. You're watching the fight for P3 at the moment as they cross the timing loop with Leonardo Scorpioni just a little ways up the road, and Alabai took a second to roll, but now he's definitely making some spots up here as they head through turn 4. Although Terlecki wanting to go back in on him, he will. He'll bring Cicero with him, and so Alabai back to 5th. Here comes Alexander Vanchev back on the Zanella Racing Tony card in the 6th spot. He's not far away. Nate Cicero, again, top qualifier, great run in the longer 10-minute session, but could not fire off good on cold tires here this evening. He's making up spots now, looking for third, and Terlecki heard him, so he quickly faded low there in the brake zone, and now he gets shoved a little bit wide by Cicero. So that was kind of a thank you moment for Nate. We go back to turn number 4 on the opening lap, and Cicero, while Terlecki might have been pushed from behind, he definitely wasn't alone. And Nick was saying that he was going to kind of keep his head on, but willing to push back if guys pushed him. And Terlecki kind of now in a bit of a 1-to-1 even score, I would say, with Nate Cicero after that little bump and run in turn number 10. Alibi still closing in. Banchev still there. Colin Lloyd not far back. Leonardo Scorpioni about 2.5, nearly 3 seconds up the road from all this battling here for position number 3. And Nate Cicero, a third right now, is going to burn a little bit, but 3 heats, plenty of time. If any other attrition happens, he'll be more than good. For this young man up front, though, Enzo Vidmontien, it was a very devastating end to his SCUSA Winter Series weekend in Miami just a couple weeks ago. Was so fast in the rain, but just out of instinct tried to remove his bumper from the front tire, thinking more that it was rubbing, and got caught and disqualified. It was a major blow, and he mentioned him and his father, they actually reached out to us after that weekend because he realized the gravity of his mistake and how at that point just a lapse in judgment, just not even thinking out on the racetrack in his case, just trying to go as fast as he can and hopefully get a win. And it was a humbling experience for him. At that moment, coming through Sunday evening, he wasn't sure if that was going to be the end of everything for him, but a big learning experience for Enzo, and hopefully it's going to change him and continue to add to the maturity that we've seen out of the Orlando, Florida native. And on home turf, right now, it looks like he is headed for the first heat race victory ever of the Norberg Pro-Kart Invitational semi-pro event. Out of the final turn, Enzo Vidmontien to Leo Scorpioni. The gap about a second. Give it to the 895. The junior driver will score the first heat race win of the night. Scorpioni, Cicero, Alibi, Terlecki, your top 5 as they cycle across the finish line all the way back to Chris Giram, who gets by Gene Reyes right at the line. Just behind Eric Cuesto, and then Roman Felber in 13. So Enzo Vidmontien, a nice shot of confidence after what was a devastating blow just a few weeks ago, and hopefully he can continue to roll that momentum later on into the evening as he pulls into the scale line there with, of course, Leonardo Scorpioni's Zanella Tony Kart. But that's just, again, the first of the 2 groups going for heat number 1. If you don't go anywhere, folks, when we return, it'll be heat number 1 for groups B and C. From the Ryan Norberg Pro-Kart Invitational as the party, the DJ, the drinks raging on at the Coastal Metal Coastal Link Custom Printing VIP Suites there just above the scale area.
Studies show that even the best current generation of simulators only convince 50% of the human brain that they are real. Here at SimCraft, that just isn't realistic enough. Developed to offer the most realistic karting sim experience in the world, all testing has shown that the physics engine used in SimCraft's Grid 1 model convinces 90% of the human brain that you are actually on track. Now that is the real deal.
So you finally want to get behind the wheel, huh?
Yeah, I've been shooting for 3 years and I've never got to drive.
Well, you're going to need some more gear than just your helmet. Why don't you go to shopakr.com. They got their inventory online and they'll ship it the same day if you order before 5:30 p.m. Eastern.
They got shoes?
Yep.
Gloves?
Yep.
Rib protectors?
Got those too.
Can they make me go fast?
No.
Here at Acceleration Kart Racing, we've got everything you need to get on track. What happens next, well, that's on you. Check us out online at shopakr.com.
Here at MPG Motorsports, our main goal is to provide the best pathway into professional motorsports for our entire team, drivers and mechanics alike. We're based out of Whiteland Raceway Park in Indiana. For more information, contact us at chase@mpg-motorsports.com.
Here's a look down on the grid as we get set for the other half of the Ryan Norberg Pro-Kart Invitational semi-pro event drivers here. This one a little bit of an older average age group, but not all the way through, with a handful more junior drivers joining the fold to race their way for the biggest purse, biggest payday any junior driver would ever see in their career to this point at $10,000 tomorrow night in cash. But as we take a look here at the starting lineup, it is Axel Cabrera on the number 86 Tony kart that'll start on the inside of row number 1. Alongside him, the Nash Motorsports EOS kart of Stephen Miller. Captain Turoboski will start on the inside of row 2 alongside Jackson Wolney on the SCR Red Speed. Then it's Chase Gassiet-Lee on the Nash Motorsports EOS kart alongside Finnegan Bailiff, Emma Scarborough and Frederick Manning on row 4, Alexander Dalbon and Cash Felder, row 5, Cameron Weinberg and Zachary Clayman DeMello on row number 6. ZCD to the rear of the field for this one in the Dan Devereaux Racing Cosmic, but we've seen this story before. Only a month back, Zach Clayman DeMello drove from the back of the field very quickly and decisively to the top 3, top 5 at the Rotax Max Challenge Winter Trophy. So I would not be surprised to see some aggressive moves out of ZCD to go forward here in this first heat race, especially when you got 3 chances at it, because he's going to have to start tail end Charlie in all 3 of his heat races. So if he can make some aggressive moves to get forward early, it could make a big, big difference for him. And again, there he is all the way at the back of the number 13. 12th place here for this Norberg Pro-Kart Semi-Pro. Heats B and C, heat number 1. But all 12 drivers are going to slowly make their way to the infield S's. And again, this will just be the other half of the grid. They'll meet the rest of the groups in kind of a round-robin format through the rest of the night. A and C, B and D, and of course then C and D and A and B going together. But this is the drivers who qualified 2nd and 3rd on your front row. Axel Cabrera on the inside, Stephen Miller on the outside. Here we go, boys and girls. We're green for the second heat race of 6 on the night, and Cabrera just barely going to get through on Miller, but Miller, a great start from the outside. He'll slot into 2nd as Jackson Wolney is wheel to wheel with, I believe, maybe Scarborough in the Nash car. Is Miller already to the inside. This place bit him earlier this year in his senior debut in Orlando. Stephen Miller wasting 0 time to go to the lead on Axel Cabrera down there in turn number 4. So move Stephen Miller through in the S's. Cabrera 2nd. Right there in 3rd is one of the energy machines, is down the inside further back. That was one of the Nash Motorsports EOS karts making a move for P4. Here is Jackson Wolney under pressure. Open the door last second, gonna pay for it for 5th. And as well up the road, more drivers paying for it. Gassiet-Lee lost a spot there in the 834. That's Scarborough that went on by. Emma Scarborough there on the 918. Going through to 3rd, Gassiet-Lee to 4th in the Coastal Link Custom Printing Nash Motorsports machine. Down the front straightaway, 1 lap complete, out of 8. Stephen Miller leads, and here's further back, Cameron Weinberg, a lot of room to go forward. There's ZCD already up to 8th. Watch down to turn 4, a lot of passing coming here. Finn Bailiff's gonna get one. DeMello all the way on the curb down the straightaway on Weinberg, and they're both gonna go backwards. And now DeMello puts it to Jackson Wolney. Zach Clayman DeMello elbows out there as he tries to climb up the grid. What an aggressive move for Zachary Clayman DeMello there. Through the back hairpin we go, and down the long bamboo straightaway. Here is Weinberg under pressure from Wolney. They're blocking back in the field, just trying to get some separation and be able to put some laps together. Behind them is Frederick Manning, and then Cash Felber, as here is the Dan Devereaux Racing entry of ZCD through the infield, starting to work his way towards the start-finish line straightaway. Look at Finnegan Bailiff closing in on Chase Gassiet-Lee. That's a veteran, 21 years old in Finnegan Bailiff. And Chase Gassiet-Lee, one of the many junior drivers between the ages of 11 and 15, just in front of him. One of the cool aspects of this event is putting those young superstars up against the seniors. And welcome to the big leagues, Chase. Nice through to the inside. Finn Bailiff gets through, move Finnegan up to position number 5 on that Trinity Karting Group Factory Kart Republic machine. got his teammate in the Pro Show tomorrow night, Brandon Carr, who got his ticket as the 2023 Stars Championship Series OKN Stars champ. He's already got a win with the team at the SCUSA Winter Series on the final day of action in the Pro X30 class. Brandon Carr just standing by and kind of helping his teammates out here this evening as they climb the curbs and come to put 3 laps complete. 5 laps to go as we approach halfway. Stephen Miller continuing to lead, but he's got company. Here comes Axel Cabrera on the Tony Kart for the AKT Racing team. Big run to the bumper. Not going to go inside right now. That's an experienced Axel Cabrera taking his time here with the rookie Stephen Miller just in front of him. And I think Axel, knowing that how fast Stephen is, doesn't necessarily need to go by him. They've got 2 seconds back to Kapker Turoboyski. So a lot of time. Doesn't need to get aggressive for the lead just yet. He can wait a little bit, work with Stephen, keep his tires underneath him, and just kind of ride in the toe. Or he can go to the lead right there and go against it. In turn 10, new leader, Axel Cabrera goes through on Stephen Miller, and he'll defend a little bit there into the S's. And Miller, I think, just going to tuck in and learn from Axel and see where he may be losing a little bit of speed. So Stephen Miller back to second for the first time here in heat number 1 for BvsC, right at the halfway mark. 4 down, 4 to go as we work lap number 5. That one pass we saw, it cost him 3/10 back to Kapker Turoboyski there in the AKT Racing Team Energy Corsa Racing Americas entry in the 3rd spot. So Scarborough 4th, Finn Baylor 5th, ZCD 6th, Chase Cassie at least 7th, Weinberg, Alex Dalbon, Cologne in 9th, and then Jackson Wolney in the 10th position here with 3.5 laps remaining. Take a look there at this young lady, though, Emma Scarborough. What a good run she had at the end of the SCUSA Winter Series, and even here the Rotax Max Winter Trophy as well. Continuing to improve in her rookie senior season. The young lady out of Georgia closing in on Kapker Turoboyski. 4th place right now, respectable run at the moment here in heat number 1. And just a number of top 5 finishes is obviously going to average out to put you in the top 10 for the semi-pro final later tonight, trying to earn herself a SCUSA Pro Tour entry to the Pro Tour race here in Orlando in just 7 days next weekend. And as well get a lot of confidence to go to the Pro Show and race for $10,000. There's so much these kids can learn compared to the All-Star Pro field that has to sit on the sidelines and watch here tonight. So 5 laps complete, 3 laps to go. And this one, I think, going to be a little bit tighter as Miller's hanging on, and he's going to send it on the inside in turn number 9. What a move from Stephen. Stephen Miller back to the lead with an aggressive move to the point. It bought him about a car length to Cabrera. So a good, perfectly timed pass for Stephen Miller to retake the lead here in heat number 1. Up and over the curbing again we go. Across the line this time, 2 laps remaining, 6 complete. That gap already opening up back to Cabrera. Move it to 2 car lengths here for Stephen Miller as he heads down to turn number 1. Cabrera back to second, then Turoboyski, then Scarborough. And your update on ZCD, you just saw the times or the positions change. Zachary Clayman de Mello has cracked the top 5. He's gone around Finnegan Bailiff. So the Dan Devereaux Racing Cosmic is now into a potential top 10 starting spot if he can keep that average going later on in the night. Here's a look at him there on the chrome blue and red colored Tony Kart, and already pulling away is back to the inside for Axel Cabrera. Good move there in turn number 9. He's going to block low. This is going to back them up all the way. Look at the dirt he just picked up on the tires, and he's going to barely hang on to it there in the back hairpin, but he's going to start to back Stephen Miller up as he starts to low line. Oh, and a late move to open up there in the S's. Cabrera needs to be careful about the blocking as Miller up and over the curbing. Door to door, they're banging pods as they come across the line. White flag in the air, and this heat 1 is going to go to a 4-car lead group. Stephen Miller over under. Nice move there in turns 1 and 2. That was sweet, but he's got a block for it now. Cabrera to the outside, turn 4. And look at that, Scarborough side by side with Turoboyski. They collide, back for 3rd, lost time, and Miller still blocking there from Cabrera as Turoboyski and Scarborough collide in turn number 4. So through the S's, up and over the curbing, Miller to the inside to block. That's going to kill the exit. He tried to block it. Cabrera's there. Down the back straightaway. He's going to put him in the weeds again. Look at the dust getting kicked up by the tires as he tries to hang on. Miller hangs on now. out of the back hairpin. Look at Trebojeski there on the energy. He's going to force Cabrera to defend, and Stephen Miller elbows out against the veteran Axel Cabrera. Is going to pull off the Heat 1 victory here, while Cabrera, Trebojeski will hold even in second and third. And a lot of action already here this evening from Orlando as Heat 1 comes to a close for BvsC. What a battle. Stephen Miller, Axel Cabrera going at it in the final 2 laps of this one. Trebojeski, DeMello fourth, and on back from heat number 1, BvsC. Let's take a look at how they stacked up here in this one. Stephen Miller by half a second to Cabrera, then Trebojeski, DeMello fourth after he got around Scarborough when she got collected there with the energy of Captain Trebojeski. And then Scarborough, Finnegan Bailiff, Cameron Weinberg, Chase Gassiet-Lee, Jackson Wolney, and then then Alex Dalbon, Cologne, Frederick Manning, Cash Felber round off your field. Let's go down to David Land on pit lane with the Heat 1 Groups A and D winner, Enzo Vidmontien.
All right, well, my heart rate's still just coming down after that race. I mean, what a heck of a run there. And this event really does 2 things. It produces racing like that, and it also gives an opportunity for drivers in the junior category to make a name for themselves. And I'll tell you what, Enzo, that was a statement win for you. Talk us through that because, unlike the race we just saw, yours was pretty dominant.
Yeah. First place, Nate Cicero. He broke too early. I just sent it. Last turn 4, I blocked. I looked back in turn 5. I got them. I just did my line and I pulled away.
You beat a field full of pro drivers and seniors. I mean, that's got to be pretty gratifying for you. I mean, tell us about that because it looked like the Kart Republic was working really well for you.
Yeah, it was awesome. The chassis was perfect. I was perfect. Combined, it's perfect. And yeah.
Enzo Vidmontien, he's perfect.
Well, perfect start for Enzo Vidmontien. Couldn't ask for much better here to kick off the semi-pro night of the Ryan Norberg Pro-Kart Invitational. Let's take a look at the highlights here from what just went down, of course. That was a crazy battle for the race win here on the racetrack, of course. First, it starts off as Axel Cabrera catches up to Miller, sends one down the inside on him for the lead, getting through there in turn number 10. But there was still a big gap out back. A lot of room out from the back of the field. And with Stephen Miller and Axel Cabrera going at it, of course, on the racetrack, that's what continued to change things over as we looked at this. This was this over-under move. This was the move that won him the race there. What a battle all the way down to turn number 4. And then into turn number 4 right here, this is where things got a little bit crazy with Emma Scarborough and Trebojeski kind of colliding there. While the leaders still were back and forth, and Miller doing a perfect job kind of parking the bus on the inside apex in turn 6, and then really right here, this move into turn number 8 is where he had to park it and just couldn't quite get the power down onto the straightaway. Cabrera got alongside him. Miller didn't see him there till too late, kept him pinned in the dirty stuff where Cabrera had to brake early. Miller sent it deep on the outside, and nothing Axel could do but just watch the 973 drive off away, and then he had to battle for that race win all the way to the end. So while the Ryan Norberg Pro-Kart Invitational semi-pro event continues to roll, we have a little bit of a break for the drivers to work on the go-karts. Here's a look at the times. Again, we'll be back in about 30 minutes with the next group, groups A and C, going at it. Heat number 2, another full round of action if you like that. 8-lap sprints. We've got 4 more of them before we get to our main event later this evening.
Studies show that even the best current generation of simulators only convince 50% of the human brain that they are real. Here at Simcraft, that just isn't realistic enough. Developed to offer the most realistic karting sim experience in the world, all testing has shown that the physics engine used in Simcraft's Grid 1 model convinces 90% of the human brain that you are actually on track. Now that is the real deal.
Here at MPG Motorsports, our main goal is to provide the best pathway into professional motorsports for our entire team, drivers and mechanics alike. We're based out of Whiteland Raceway Park in Indiana. For more information, contact us at chase@mpg-motorsports.com.
Yeah, Xander, we're down here with Stephen Miller, and I'll tell you what, my man, you brought the entertainment value, that's for sure. I mean, the wheel banging, the side-by-side action, you changed the lead about 3 or 4 times in a single lap. I mean, just another day at the office, right? I mean, tell us about that thing.
Yeah, the race was pretty good. At the beginning of the race, I got the lead. I managed to pull a little bit of gap, but at the end of the race, he caught up, and, man, we raced hard out there. We definitely raced hard. Last lap, I managed to block and defend, and we got the win.
Yeah, it seemed like you guys threw everything at each other. Do you have anything left for later on tonight and into tomorrow?
Oh, yeah, we have way more to go. Just wait on, and you're going to see Stevie Miller in action.
That's bold. That's bold, folks. Stephen Miller, he's got a little bit more in the tank.
Not a surprise when you win a race that way to have that kind of confidence, Dave. That was definitely a very impressive turn of events for Steven. So we'll continue to keep our eye on everything and, of course, get that countdown timer for you guys to know when we will be back green, pushing about 25 minutes, more or less, until we get back underway with the next round of the Norberg Pro-Kart Invitational semi-pro event. Of course, make sure as you guys are joining us here live, let us know where you're watching from, who you're rooting for. We've got some ZCD and Enzo Vidmontienda fans in the live stream chat as well. And again, the next heat race here going green at 7:46 local time. So again, exactly about 24 or 25 minutes away from going green for this next heat. As we continue to wait here for the next round of heat races to get underway, with a number of the drivers that are in action tonight, including some of them that you just saw, we asked them what they would do for $10,000. We'll obviously find out when they're on track tomorrow night, but here's what they had to say and what they'll be thinking under the helmet.
The worst thing you're willing to do for $10,000.
I don't think you want to know.
Yeah, I do.
That's a hard one. I really don't know.
What do you fear?
What do I fear?
Yeah.
Skydiving. I'd probably skydive for $10,000.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Depends. Probably try to send it on the outside, or if I try to put the bumper on someone, I'll have to do that.
Okay, now what do you fear? What do you fear? Something outside of racing that you fear?
My engine not being good.
So are you willing to have your engine not be good to win $10,000?
If it's good, then maybe. If it's not, probably not.
I don't know. I'll send it pretty deep through the grass if I have to. Or those. I mean, these curves aren't too bad, so it's not. If I gotta fly a little bit, it'll be all right. So.
Now, what's something outside of racing that you fear?
Probably reptiles the most, like snakes and stuff.
Okay. So there's a lot of reptiles around here. Some very, very big. What kind of a reptile are you willing to risk hanging out with for, let's say, an hour for about $10,000? Are you willing to risk at a reptile encounter for $10,000?
It depends on the reptile. For like a snake, definitely not. You just give me a little more, but a lizard maybe. But
okay, this is an easy one. Are you willing to give up Nutella pizza for a year to win $10,000?
Probably not, honestly. I actually.
That's worth every penny, right? Now describe this Nutella pizza, because you get this all the time, right?
Oh yeah, it's nice and chocolatey, soft crust, Italiano.
I don't know, to be honest. There's a lot of stuff I would do for $10,000. It's a lot of money.
Have any fears?
Heights.
So how high would you be willing to get for $10,000?
Burj Khalifa, for sure, yeah. 10,000 is a lot, bro.
And again, that was at the end of that clip there. Gene Reyes, he was the feel-good story that we talked about earlier tonight. Had worked his tail off as a corner marshal at the opening 4 rounds of the national season down at Homestead, Miami for the SCUSA Winter Series and the Rock Florida Winter Tour. Picked up every gig that he could, and even the Coastal Metal, Coastal Link printing company stepped up and helped get him the last bit of the way to be able to compete here tonight in terms of sponsorship. And so $10,000, that would go a long way for a privateer like Gene Reyes to be able to get behind the wheel and race a whole lot more. And I'm sure that's what that young man would love nothing more than to do. He was on track earlier today testing. Needs a little more speed to be able to contend for a race win, but that's what 3 total heats and a semi-pro main event are all about. So while the Norberg Nation suite continues to roll, along with the Coastal Link custom printing suite as well, 20 minutes till we get underway with heat number 2 action here from Orlando. So with just about 4 minutes and 15 seconds until we go green here, David Land is down on the grid as we get set for the second round of heat races. You saw one 8-lap sprint. Now the drivers have gotten the nerves shaken out. Let's see what they've got to say here, Dave.
Yeah, we're down here with Finnegan Bailiff, and I'll tell you, the Kart Republics look like they're coming alive here in the night. What do you got to do to move up? Looks like a couple of rows for you.
Yeah, I just got to get a good start. Last session, I got a bad start. Ended up getting pushed back a couple of times, but we just got to get a good start and fire off fast.
Yeah, so it looks like the track's real racy, at least from the last couple of heats. I mean, passing all the time. How do you kind of time it so that you don't get so that you're not on the receiving end of the passes and that you can kind of move forward through the group?
Yeah, you just got to move forward. If you don't, then you're just going to get shuffled back. So you just have to send it, and then you'll go forward.
We always like hearing drivers say they have to just send it. Finnegan Bailiff, thank you so much.
Thank you, Dave. And again, here from the Ryan Norberg Pro-Kart Invitational, getting set to get underway with the second round of heat races. So joining me in the booth for the second round of heats. Joining me in the for the booth here for the second round of heat races is Mr. Chris Wareheim. Chris, last time we were up here, we were hoping for a good Rotax Senior main. Kind of got robbed a little bit, but tonight, man, already having some action in the first heat race.
Yeah, I thought the first heat race was tamer than I thought it would be. I mean, Enzo got off to a really big lead, and it kind of was easy pickings for him at that point. But man, that second heat was really interesting. Steven and Axel, I mean, they were battling way harder than I thought they would for a first heat race. But it shows that, especially some of these younger guys want to show the older guys how good they are. And I think it's only, going to get more intense from here, especially going into tomorrow. I think that's really when we're going to see some excitement.
Yeah, talk about that, right? I mean, this event being 13+, there were plenty of comments, I'm sure, in the paddock, online, and around of people having juniors come and race the seniors. And granted, you work with juniors especially, the younger drivers developing them. You know, just as I do and everyone else does, that they're already racing at a high level when they're into junior at the front of the grid. But what has been the atmosphere like so far today through practice and tonight having those guys out there?
They've done a great job. I think they've shown a lot of respect, even in the racing. But even in those first couple heat races, you saw the first lap or two really, not really the size. I mean, Enzo's a little bit different, but some of the other juniors that were really quick in qualifying struggled a little bit the first lap or two to kind of get their elbows out enough, and I think it caught them off guard a little bit. But I'm sure we'll see some changes from some of these kids going into the second heat. They know what they need to do now. So I think the racing is going to only get better from here.
And now with one heat in the books under the lights at Orlando, I mean, nobody's really done a high-level night race here, at least in the last decade, in a long time. The closest we had was about 2 years ago for the Rock Florida Winter Tour. Rain delays, lightning delays, and everything put the shifter race at night, and that was about it. So what kind of changes are these guys going through, and how much of an unknown was it for the field to go into the night temperatures here at this racetrack?
Honestly,
Cup mains where as long as you kind of get a decent start to hang in that lead group, you can really settle in for a long time. These 8-lap heat races, the exact opposite of that.
Yeah, and he's up against Steven right now. A bit like Enzo, those two kids are some of the most aggressive ones out there. I think that's why you've seen them adapt to senior so quickly, is because they are Steven's now a full-time senior, but they are two of the most aggressive guys out there, even when they were juniors. And I think Steven, he doesn't like finishing second. So, even if Nate has some speed, he's going to be in for a fight this race. It'll be interesting to see if Terlecki can hang on a bit more this time. It seemed like the pace wasn't there as much as I thought it would be. So here we go. Let's see.
Yeah, let's line them up here. It's an OTK lockout of our first 5 spots. Cicero on the inside there in the green and white Tony kart. Stephen Miller on the outside in that blue and chrome Nash Motorsports machine. Heat 2, A versus C, underway down to turn 1. Miller this time going to get shuffled a little wide, and one driver up and over the inside curbing. I think that might have been Riley Ramroop in that black suit for the Dan Devereaux Racing machine. As look at Terlecki. He took it right to heart from what you said about him trying to get going to the lead for Nick, as there's elbows out racing all around it. Terlecki and Cicero, they kind of got into it from what it felt like here in the booth in that first heat, and here they are again side by side through the sweeper. Give the edge to Terlecki and Miller. Wow, almost on the inside there with a 2 for 1 in 2 corners.
Man, I told him too before the race, let's chill. Whoa, Terlecki.
Yeah, I don't
Moving
know.
in the brakes there. Yeah, I knew that was going to happen.
Oh, man, just everybody getting tripped up. Biggest loser was Raheem Alabai in the 949. He drops back. Cicero and Miller are still going at it for the lead, and I think maybe the opposite effect given to Nate, saying, hey, get your elbows out in the first lap on this one because we are tired of going backwards and then moving forward. 1 lap in, and we're still all together up front. Cicero there leads the way. Miller second, then Nick Terlecki third, then Finn Bailiff right there in fourth. Oh yeah, perfectly called, inside and clear. Stephen Miller to the lead, and Terlecki a little bit deep there, kind of got into the right rear tire of Cicero in turn 4. Riley Ramroop now on the outside of Finnegan Bailiff into the sweeper here at this point. Granted, like you said, the visibility is a bigger thing. Does it change it all in the opening few laps of getting heat in the tires? Do you have any more aggressive on the warm-up at all? Obviously, you're pumping pressures up a tick.
Yeah, I've been telling my drivers, it's mainly that kind of, yes, the out lap, right, but then you're going slow and the tires are pulling back down. It's really those first few corners, that first lap. I mean, if you don't generate enough heat there, you're going to be struggling the next lap or two because you're getting taken advantage of. Then you're offline, you're picking up some dust, and it just compounds itself from there. So, I think that's why you see some of these more experienced drivers. Here comes Leo making moves. I expect him to, with the speed he had last one, I expect him to get up into third and catch the front two. We'll see if he still has that same speed.
Yeah, I mean, he was so fast to start that last heat race. I mean, just phenomenal for Leo Scorpione. Looked like he kind of took it easy there later on. There's a move by Gene Reyes in the Coastal Link Custom Printing Tony Kart. Trying to say work together. The races are so short, you're just not going to see a lot of that right now at 8 laps in.
Yeah, I'd be telling my driver, put your hand back on the wheel and just race. They're racing you too. He's not going to work with you,
Just ahead of him, another driver had to start from the rear is Zachary Clayman DeMello. His teammate there, Ramroop, looks like he's got a pushed-in front bumper on the 42 as they continue to fight.
They're still looking at each other.
More and more hand signals and little bumper to him there in the last turn, and Jackson Wolney trying to pick up the pieces on that Speed Concepts Racing red speed. Let's see where they're all at as they come across the line. 3 laps in, working lap 4. Alibi going to get through, and all the while, Stephen Miller leading by just a bit over Cicero as there's a Scorpione moving up the grid just like you called it, Chris. With how much speed he had in Heat 1, that's not a surprise at all. Unfortunately, it looks like Nick Terlecki may still have a little work to do as he trails in 4th, about a second back right now.
Yeah, Leo's driving style and also just his build has always been good on low grip tracks, and I feel like with the cool temperatures, he's able to generate a little bit more heat in the tires quicker, so he might be able to get away with a little bit lower pressure than some of the guys just because of how much heat he's able to generate and grip he's able to generate. So that's a big advantage in a situation like this. If you don't have to bump up the pressure pound and a half, and you can only go up half a pound off what you've been running kind of in the normal conditions, we'll call it, that's going to be a big advantage. It's really going to keep your kart feeling pretty similar to where, kind of the times that we were running earlier today, which we're pretty similar to that. I mean, in these conditions, I shouldn't say these conditions, around this point, the guys that were really quick earlier in the day on 2-sessional tires, they were probably 55.7, 55.8 already, so the track's a little bit off right now, but not too much. The colder temperatures definitely, the engines are going to be running a little bit better than the heat of the day, but the getting those tires to operate, that's the key.
Yeah, as they head down the backstretch here, Cicero at least seems to be calming down behind Stephen Miller and trying to just hold on to a top 2 spot. One other question I have for you, Chris, as they work the S's and come to the line to hit 3 laps to go. Granted, it's not a million laps, but quali, then 3 heats, and then a final with not a lot of time for the tires to cool off. By the time we get to the main, are any of the guys that aren't fighting as hard, if there are any of them, going to have a tick of an advantage in terms of tire degradation, you think?
No, I don't think so. Just the track temp's not high enough to really give massive tire deg that we've seen here before sometimes. The biggest thing is just how many heat cycles that you're putting on it. That's what we see more than anything is when you get to kind of right around the final time, that kind of 3rd, 4th heat cycle, that's going to be where we really see who's kind of been preparing for that.
Well, while we're watching these drivers shuffle, we're preparing as well for what could be a final 3-man, 2-lap battle. Cicero going back to the lead that time in turn 4, allowed a Scorpione to get just closer, and he's almost to the drafting window on those 2 long straightaways here. So as we come out of the final turn, here we go. Final 2 laps on the boards for Heat 1. A versus C. Cicero there in the green and white, Miller in the blue, and Leonardo Scorpione in the black and yellow Zanella machine. Keep an eye out. Terlecki as well may fade back to ZCD and Finn Bailiff before it's over if he continues to drop back at the pace that he's going. I think he might be safe, but we're gearing up for a last lap battle A little different this time, though. Miller's going to have to fight his way to the lead versus where Cabrera was defending. Cicero's just got good pace right now in these last 2 laps, it looks like.
Yeah, he does. You can see a big difference in line between the front two. Steven's turning in a little bit later, trying to get on the gas a little bit earlier, doesn't roll as much center speed. In some areas it works better, some areas it doesn't. I think that's definitely an area that for the rest of the day, maybe he's learning something here, but he's got to go. I mean, Leo's going to be there in any second. He's got to get back into the lead on this last lap.
Yeah, that'll be the run, right? Turn 4 here. If Cicero leaves that door open, he's got to go for it, and I think
right
Nate
there,
should know.
Big difference in line.
Oh, yeah. Way, way different there through 1 and 2, and that's going to give him a good launch into 4.
He's going.
But he's close enough to send it. And Nate with a nice crossover, and he just clears himself coming out of 4.
Oh, we forgot. There's another driver there.
Yeah, there's Leo back in. But crossovers for both of them, so we're back to even. Final lap, still maybe something. But Cicero covered that off. You can see he was thinking.
He thought about it.
He wanted it. He still wants it here on the backstretch. Look how dirty it is on the inside still. Cicero on the brakes. Miller. Oh, contacted. Here comes Leo. And Nate and Steven get together. Miller back to 4th. And as Scorpione picks up the pieces, Leonardo Scorpione. Heat 2 winner here in groups A and C. Cicero 2nd and Steven back to 4th there at the line. A superhero attempt to his credit there in that hairpin. I mean, he didn't have a lot of options besides staying 2nd. Nate covered the inside off pretty good right there.
Yeah, I mean, last lap final. Let's go for it. I think in a heat race, when you've already won 1 heat, maybe live to fight, a better day and look for a better opportunity then. There's not much room for error on that outside, right? It's way too easy. Just what happened. He didn't get really pushed off, but he got pushed a little bit off and then grabbed that metal curbing, and then you can't get back off of it, and then you get sucked into the barrier. So, yeah, lesson learned there, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day in the heats, your points racing here. This is all just an aggregate to get through. This is a mini championship, if you will. Heat 1, Heat 2, Heat 3. Take the 2nd, get the lower point score to get a better starting spot for the main. 4th is still good and didn't tear anything up really from what we could tell besides bottoming out there on the curb. It's a decent recovery, all things considered, as they roll on through the scale line. So they're getting set to go. There's a look here we've got down on the scales with Leonardo Scorpione getting through the heat. A good run for the Zanella Racing Tony Kart driver as he quickly gets that kart up onto the stand, and they'll probably continue to take a look at it, but I can't imagine they got a lot of work left to do to that thing. That's 2 heat races with really good second half pace that put him right in the middle of the main where he'd be peaking.
Yeah, I mean, he's looking really, really strong. It's going to be interesting in this one how Enzo looks. He ran, so interesting, I pay attention a lot throughout the day who's on what tires, and Enzo spent a lot of time on used tires and pretty used tires. So I think that kart, is really dialed in for conditions like this.
Well, let's hear from him. We'll go down to David Land here in the scale area. Helmet off, hot through him. Leonardo Scorpione is your Heat 2 winner, Dave.
Leonardo, I mean, that was awesome, man. Congrats. Tell us about it, because there was a lot of screaming down where we were. A lot of people were happy that you got this thing.
Yeah, I mean, during quali, my bumper fell off. I got 2 laps, and the 2 laps I got, I was first, and then it fell off, and I just fell back. I mean, in this first race, I finished 2nd from 9th, and then this one I was like, okay, I have to win now. And then I've raced with both of them for like a while now, and I just know Steven, when it's last lap, he's not going to give up. And then just went to first. They both went wide, and he just went to first.
The racing style has been absolutely awesome out there. These KA100s are absolutely delivering out there. I mean, what do you have to do later on this evening and into tomorrow to get this thing up to the front?
I mean, the kart feels pretty good right now. We can work a little bit on engine, but I mean, right now it just feels awesome. Like, everything feels amazing, and I think it should be good for the race for tomorrow.
Good stuff. Thank you very much.
The one curveball, to be fair, for all these guys and girls going into tomorrow is we are going to a different tire compound, right? We're switching over to the softer of the 2 MG and Avinco compounds for tomorrow. seeing anyone, did anyone go out today? I'd imagine most guys probably waiting till tomorrow to try out that rubber if they're going to test on it.
Yeah, I think the only people that I saw on that, or like at least that similar tire, either the MG or the Invinco, were guys that were already in the pro event tomorrow. So it's going to be interesting. I think most of the experienced drivers are going to adapt to it pretty quickly. Some of the more inexperienced drivers, I think, won't get the most out of the tire, but some of the more experienced drivers will adapt pretty quickly at figuring out how to get the most out of it, because that's usually what we see when drivers go to a softer tire right away from a hard tire. This isn't a hard tire anymore. This is quite a bit softer than we used to run, but just learning how hard you can push and the limit that that tire has, most people underdrive it.
Well, with that, folks, here, the second of the 2 heat races for the second round. We'll roll our way here in a moment. The scale area continuing to move on through, and looks like we've got one more to chat with here as David Land continues to get us some more info down on pit lane. And he's got one half of that last head-to-head battle with Stephen Miller, and that's the other half of it with Nate Cicero. Dave?
All right, Nate, just real quick, walk us through that last lap, because that was wild.
Yeah, just still getting back into this go-karting racing. It's been a little bit, so probably blocked when I shouldn't have. We have such a fast go-kart, thanks to Dalton Dow, Jeremy Fletcher for giving me this great kart, and Comet for the great engine. But it's hard racing out there. I think that was probably the hardest it should be. But yeah, I just feel bad for Steven. It was a little bit of an incident, but yeah, he was fast, I was fast, so I'm sure we'll both be up there in the final. Yeah, we'll go for it.
That's the story down here. We'll talk a little bit after the racing gets going.
Thank you, Dave. And yeah, racing back underway. Let's look at heats groups B and D for heat number 2 with Axel Cabrera and Enzo Vidmontien. Now, Vidmontien dominated his opening heat race by getting the lead from the outside lane. But that was against Nate Cicero, who in the first heat you could say was probably the least aggressive of our front row starters. Axel Cabrera I would put on the opposite end of that spectrum. Very aggressive fighting with Steven in his opening heat race. So you got a very aggressive veteran on the inside of the front row and a hungry young kid on the outside of row number 1. What else sticks out to you here, Chris?
Casper, they call him Turbo, Polish driver, number 397, starting on the outside. He was pretty impressive. His first day at the track was this morning. So for him to have the pace that he has is pretty impressive. So seeing if he can evolve through today and even tomorrow will be pretty interesting.
Well, he lines up there with that bright, easy-to-see yellow helmet on the inside of row number 2. They're already ready to go. A quick outlap for these boys and girls, and we're green and jumping out of line early. One of the drivers a little further back. Might have been one of the Zanella Racing Tony Karts. As not a good start for Vidmontien. Oh, still more, all the way to 4 as he gets behind Chase Gassiet Lee into 4th right now. Awkward start there for Vidmontien. Gassiet Lee to the inside. Big over-under from Enzo trying to get speed as Emma Scarborough holds up this massive group over into the sweeper for the opening lap. And Vidmontien, an over-under did work on Chase. So he gets around a fellow junior pilot there, and they head on to the backstretch. Cabrera the leader, Casper Turbo there into 2nd with a good start there on the energy as more battling further back. Cameron Weinberg blocking low, and man, Alexander Vanchev, he about sent it a bit too deep into the weeds there in turn 10, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of those junior drivers, right? Just sorting, finding their way in the pack. Probably feeling the pressure to need to do a bit more and just maybe going a little bit over right there. I've been pretty impressed with Chase. I mean, he qualified 10th, and then he got a lot of lead on that go-kart. He actually had to rebuild a go-kart in the middle of today and missed a couple sessions. So he's doing really well. I've been pretty impressed. Emma, we know she's quick and had a bad qualifying, but she's been working her way up as well.
Colin Lloyd now leading this group here back to Victor Day Allen car on the RPG Cosmic. And speaking of Emma there, she got around Chase, moved herself up to 4th. Vidmontien's already pulled a long ways away from 4th at the moment into 3rd early on in this one. Let's go side by side here as Stephen Miller, the other half of that battle with Nate Cicero, is standing by down with Dave.
Yeah, we got one side of it, and now we're here with the second side of that last lap incident. Stephen Miller, just give us your side of it.
Yeah, so we're all going at it, and on the last lap over there in the back straightaway, I tried to send her around the outside, which I think I got it, but he was loose, obviously, in the marbles, so he got into me, and I slid out. All three of us slid out, and I got shoveled into the barriers in the last lap, so it's what it is.
It is what it is, and it is what it is. It's racing on the track. Back to you guys in the booth.
Definitely a bit more of a deflated Stephen Miller than what we caught in his post-race interview in Heat 1, but still keeping his head up as much as he would have liked to get another heat race win. A first and a fourth is still safe because you've got other drivers here in this one fading backwards, like Gassi at Lee going back. Cameron Weinberg here on the 62 had a not-so-great opening heat race. He looks better now. Here's the fight for second. Enzo Vidmontien through on Kasper Turboyski. So he gets through, and Turboyski, sorry, for second down to turn number 1 with still 4.5, pushing 5 laps to go. A lot of time to run down Axel Cabrera, just 0.6 up the road.
Yeah, I mean, I think he'll get there in 2 laps with this pace. Weinberg's really impressed me with the pace that he has so far in this session. Kind of came out of nowhere, but that shows you that experience, right? That's a driver with a load of experience that's just going to chip his way back to the front.
And we know the Kart Republic chassis he's on can be quick, as the other fastest man on track is the one we're watching with Vidmontien. So let's see if the guess is right. Might even be quicker than 2 laps already, cutting into the gap here, pulling away from Kasper Turboyski there in third. Big gap from these 3. Kasper should be safe if nothing really changes too heavily, with about 1.5 seconds pushing 2 seconds back to Scarborough and Weinberg. But Enzo Vidmontien closing in on the race lead. Let's look at the gaps when they cross the line. There's the top 3. Weinberg's already gotten around Scarborough. So Cameron up to 4th already. Now, like you said, that's a big turnaround from his opening heat race, and especially for a guy with a lot of experience like Cameron Weinberg, but not a lot of seat time recently. It's been about a year, and then getting back behind the wheel at the Rotax Max Challenge Winter Trophy. Same track, to be fair, but totally different engine package, different tire. Took him a session or 2. He's there now. We're going to head on to the backstretch here with 3.5. Coming to 3 to go, and already here is Vidmontien, and he was probably close enough. He could have sent it on the last lap there on Cabrera, but he's taking his time, playing this one smart, doesn't want to necessarily throw a race away, although that move is definitely aggressive in the last turn. It'll get him the lead. Enzo Vidmontien took 5 laps to work his way back up to the point from the outside front row. He leads us down to turns 1 and 2. And we saw Axel Cabrera take the fight to Steven pretty aggressively in that opening heat race. Let's see if he tries to answer back. Not in turn 4. Going to hold on, as he's already losing a car length, nearly 2 car lengths out of turn number 6. Almost mark it at maybe 3 now. I mean, Enzo is just a rocket ship here through the sweeper, Chris. I mean, he is on another level for the rest of the field, it feels like.
Yeah, it really looks like he has more stability on the entry of these corners compared to, we'll call it the OTKs that we're seeing. The same thing with Weinberg. Just seems like that first, and as they start to turn the wheel, really kind of lean on that tire, they have a bit more stability. So he's able to roll a little bit more center speed, have a bit more confidence on that kart underneath him. I think that's where the big advantage is, at least for those 2 right now.
Coming out of the last turn here, you can see Vidmontien's lead at about probably 3/10. Better exit for Cabrera. Good run down the straightaway, but not anywhere close enough to try and make something happen in turns 1 and 2. You have 2 major dive bomb zones, turn 4 and the backstretch hairpin. Right here, though, not going to take advantage of it for Cabrera, and definitely had to work the wheel a little bit harder there through that right-handed hairpin than Vidmontien, who, like you said, looks really, really planted. Especially you can see it in the close-up shots of those 2 hairpin corners. Further back, no other updates really. Chase Gassi at least kind of settled in, about a 0.5 second away from Scarborough in the 6th spot. He's got about 7/10 to Alex Dalbon Cologne in 7th. Victor De Alencar, the junior driver, in 8th. Colin Lloyd made some forward progress in Heat 1, but the T1D Racers Kart Republic is trapped back in 9th with Vanchev, Eric Questo, and Robin Felber there. Out of the last turn, white flag in the air this time. Vidmontien just eking out a lead. What do we think, Chris? Is Cabrera going to try and send us some excitement move here on this final lap? He's on the border of a very aggressive move, but it'd be aggressive for sure.
Yeah, not unless the door really opens. I think he's going to settle in here. Get a second in the first heat, I think, right? So 2 seconds, kind of be that consistent guy that we haven't really had other than him and Enzo right now. So he can move up, keep moving up the order here. He started up the order, but keep himself up in the front. and not do anything unless it really presents itself.
Well, we're going to get really one more major opportunity for him, and that'd be down the backstretch. But like you said, we haven't seen Enzo really defend at all. We haven't seen Cabrera try to send a crazy move on this final lap yet, and I don't think we're going to. Kasper Turaboyski back there in the third spot, not close enough to do any damage either. Enzo Vidmontien is going to have a healthy points lead to try and get that pole award in the semi-pro main event. He is now 2 for 2 in his heat races here as he wins Heat 2, Groups B and D across the line. Weinberg hanging on for fourth. Good run forward, then kind of slipped back a little bit, but just stayed ahead of Emma Scarborough. Gassi at lead, Day Alencar, Colin Lloyd up to 8th. Got around Alex Dalbon-Colon on the final lap to get that spot away for 9th. Anyway, that wraps us up here. We've got another break coming up. Here's the results. Chris, thank you for joining me here at midnight. Always good to have you in the booth, buddy.
Always love being in the booth.
All right, again, that was Chris Wareheim joining us. We'll have more stars joining us here for the broadcast from the Ryan Norberg Pro-Kart Invitational. Enzo Vidmontien, your Heat 2 BvsD winner. There's the full results of the grid as they go through. There's still one more round of heat races to come tonight. Then, of course, the main event for the semi-pro drivers will follow. So we roll on here for the Ryan Norberg Pro-Kart Invitational. Stick with us, folks. A quick break, and then we'll hear from our fastest drivers from Heat 2 B and D.
So you finally want to get behind the wheel, huh?
Yeah, I've been shooting for 3 years and I've never got to drive.
Well, you're going to need some more gear than just your helmet. Why don't you go to shopakr.com. They got their inventory online, and they'll ship it the same day if you order before 5:30 p.m. Eastern.
They got shoes?
Yep.
Gloves?
Yep.
Rip protectors?
Got those too.
Can they make me go fast?
No.
Here at Acceleration Kart Racing, we've got everything you need to get on track. What happens next? Well, that's on you. Check us out online at shopakr.com.
Here at MPG Motorsports, our main goal is to provide the best pathway to professional motorsports for our entire team, drivers and mechanics alike. We're based out of Whiteland Raceway Park in Indiana. For more information, contact us at chase@mpg-motorsports.com.
Studies show that even the best current generation of simulators only convince 50% of the human brain that they are real. Here at SimCraft, that just isn't realistic enough. Developed to offer the most realistic karting sim experience in the world, all testing has shown that the physics engine used in SimCraft's Grid 1 model convinces 90% of the human brain that you are actually on track. Now that is the real deal.
We're down here with the second place finisher. I won't say the previous thing that got muted. Axel Cabrera. And Axel, I mean, you haven't gotten there yet to P1, but I'm sure you're learning a lot in second. What'd you learn in that race?
Honestly, I'm having a bit of an issue coming into turn 5 where I can't see anything. If you see, I have glasses, but so every time I'm ahead, it's just hard to judge where to brake, and I've missed the corner a couple of times. Other than that, I mean, if I can get away from those mistakes, I think I can finish it up on top.
You know, that's something that we haven't really talked about all that much throughout the day, but it is a huge factor, the night racing. I mean, how much of the night racing have you done in the past? I mean, is this something that you knew was kind of going to be an issue for you coming in?
Yeah, actually, I've done a 24-hour race here. It was nighttime, and I had the same issue, especially that time it was foggy. But for sure, it's just, you know, it's a challenge to overcome, but we're trying our best here, so we'll see what happens.
Thank you, Axel Cabrera. Struggling right now with vision, which is, of course, something that's very difficult in the night. And let's bring in Cameron Weinberg here, who finished in the 3rd position. And, Cameron, we talked earlier today, and you were very confident. You felt like you had the speed. It looks like you proved it in that one. You know, I guess we'll talk about the learning that we just talked about with Axel. What'd you learn?
I learned that definitely if we weren't 0.2 underweight in qualifying, then we probably would be first pretty much every session. I know we're really quick. It's just these are really short, so it's hard to get everybody starting last. But it's definitely pretty difficult, but I like driving in a lower grip condition. It fits me a bit better.
So I guess since Axel brought it up, I mean, how do you feel about night racing? I mean, is it something that's challenging to you, or is it something that you can adapt to pretty well?
I like night racing, but it's sometimes it's difficult with the way the weather changes, like with dew and stuff. But I don't know. He definitely about turn 5. It's pretty hard to see through there. Like you're like, oh crap! But you just kind of gotta see how far you can go.
All right, that's our 2nd and 3rd place finishers from the previous heat. A little bit of a break, and then we'll be right back to racing.
Thank you, Dave. And again, like he mentioned, a little bit of a break coming up. We've got 2 more breaks throughout the night. We've got this one here before the final and 3rd round of heat races, and then a little break after that for one more time to kind of go through the go-karts and get ready for the main event where all 23 drivers will be back together. We're back green for heat number 3 at 8:43 p.m. That's pushing us 8 at 28 minutes. We'll be back underway. So we'll go ahead and start the clock for you on the countdown timer. You need a moment to get up, get yourself something to eat, and continue on watching Kart Chasers live coverage here from the Norberg Pro-Kart Invitational with $10,000 for the main event winner, a $20,000 cash purse here this weekend in Orlando. That's all up for grabs tomorrow night in the Pro Show. Tonight, the semi-pro drivers here getting some laps in before the All-Stars join them tomorrow evening from the Stars Championship Series, the U.S. Pro Kart Series, and the Super Karts USA Pro Tour, all coming together from the X30 Pro and Shifter classes. The Superstars will join our field we have here this evening that already is relatively star-studded. So the 3rd round of heats joins us here in about 27 minutes now at 8:43 p.m. local time. So as we get closer to the third and final round of heat races here from the semi-pro event for the Ryan Norberg Pro-Kart Invitational, we've of course got a number of different drivers here tonight before we meet the entire grid for the pro show tomorrow evening. One of them with a cool story, Gene Reyes. Let's hear from him here as we were able to catch up with the young man earlier today.
Your story is pretty spectacular. You're racing here as an independent. You are relatively inexperienced as a driver, and yet you've put together this program and you're about to race some of the best pro drivers in the United States. I mean, just start talking a little bit about your story and how you've ended up here in this position about to race for a lot of money, as you said.
Well, to be honest, it's really nerve-wracking, to be honest. Like, I came in, talked to my mechanic. I was like, I'm nervous, super nervous. But then he told me, get over it. It's a race. You'll do good. He trusts me, so. Yeah, I mean, I worked all last year, saving up money, budget, winter series. Jordan Perry gave me a humongous opportunity, same as Justin, to work at Homestead, SKC, winter series, So, yeah, just really grateful for that. Hard work does really pay off, I think.
And you mentioned that hard work. It's going to be hard work out there. I mean, you're talking about really a true all-star race where you've got the best juniors, the best seniors, and the best pros all racing together on the same track. I mean, what kind of a task is that to jump in here and race against these guys? You've had experience at this track. This is your home track, but certainly not as much as, say, at Ryan Norberg, right? So, what's a realistic expectation for you this weekend?
Well, to be honest, every weekend I don't really say positions like, oh, I'm going to get top 10. I just want to have fun, race clean. No. You get what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And you're doing Pro Tour as well. Yeah. This, in a lot of ways, this is a great tune-up to race in Pro Tour. I mean, talk about Pro Tour and how excited you are to get going with that as well, because I know we at Kart Chaser are certainly excited about it.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I can't wait. It's cool seeing all the drivers practice a couple days before the race, and it's like everyone's getting tuned in. Specifically this one, especially at nighttime, like, I don't know, it's really cool to me.
With just about 4 minutes and 10 seconds before we get underway, roughly with heat number 3, the final run before we get everything lined up for tonight. Joining me in the booth here, the man that's helped put on this entire event. I shouldn't say help. This is the man that has put on the event. Ryan Norberg joining me here for the final round of heat races. And Ryan, let's talk a little bit about this event. This is something you and I have talked about, put together, had our podcast about it, and now it's here, it's real, and you finally get to empathize a little bit with other race promoters of what it's like to put on a go-kart race.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, you can do a lot of this stuff beforehand and really prepare, and there's a lot of curveballs that get thrown at you. But yeah, overall, I mean, it's been a really fun event. I mean, I've been having a lot of fun working with everybody and trying to make things happen. It's been a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff. I mean, we've been talking about doing something like this for a couple years now, and the opportunity came up. It was like, I think it was January, like early January, late December, where I was like, you know, we might be able to squeeze this one in. And I was like, you know what, let's just try it. Let's just try and make it work. And so, yeah, I mean, not totally the amount of drivers we would have hoped for. But, you know, it's the beginning of something. You know, we're trying to create something new. And, you know, it's always hard to just, you know, hit the ground running, you know, that fast. So we're working on it. We're getting built up. And so, yeah, I mean, it's been a good event. The racing's been awesome. So, you know, I hope it stays that way.
Yeah, what's been the atmosphere like for you? I mean, I feel like it's probably a bit like, you know, not like either one of us have experienced it, but like having your own wedding where, you know, you're just running around to everybody and everybody else is the one having a good time and you're the one trying to put it on. So what's been the little bit you've been able to talk with people about it through this weekend?
I mean, everybody's having a great time up in our VIP suite. I mean, I haven't really got to walk around the paddock. I you know, I was talking to timing people and like, oh, we're still on time. I was like, oh, we are? I haven't even checked my clock, really. I don't even know what's going on. Yeah, I mean, I've been running around doing a lot, but the energy's good around the paddock. I mean, it's a fun event. You know, that was the goal, is that, you know, regardless of the racing, regardless of the turnout, I hope everybody has a good time. You know, there's drinks and food and music, and, you know, we're trying to keep it lively. And I think tomorrow, you know, once the pros get out there, it's going to be even more intense.
Yeah, so tomorrow, you know, let's talk the thought process a little bit, and the viewers can understand what the stage racing is going to look like for the main event and break it down. Obviously, they're going to have a qualifying session just like today. They'll have a single pre-final instead of a bunch of heat races set the main event grid. But the main event, a lot of new aspects that really have not been done before, at least recently in the States.
Yeah, it hasn't been done at all, and the goal is really just to try and keep the racing, you know, entertaining and keep the stakes high. I mean, I think a lot of the racing we're seeing now is good, you know, hard racing, and you know, that's what we're looking for. And I think the only way to really do that in these, you know, these races is to try and keep, you know, bunching up the fields a little bit and giving them more incentive. So, like you said, the final is broken into 3. But yeah, I mean, honestly, right now it's, you know, I just watching the race, and the race is gonna be hard. You know, it's gonna be, you know, this is very intense, and these drivers, you know, they've all pretty much qualified, and you know, the only thing on the line right now is a Pro Tour entry, which is really cool. I'm glad they're racing hard for it. But tomorrow, you know, you add $10,000, $15,000 in the mix. I think it's definitely going to, you know, bring up the heat a little bit.
Yeah, and, you know, going to now a day in, halfway through this event, but a lot of planning going through with it. Even the last, you know, you were here late last night, still prepping everything together. I mean, what's been, you know, stuff that stuck out to you about putting this together? Has there been a lot of unexpected turns of putting on your own first race? Has there been, you know, anything you didn't expect, anything you did expect, but was more or less? What's been going through your head these last couple of days?
I can't tell you, to be honest with you. I mean, there's a lot of things that you know, you go through, and you know, luckily I have a lot of people helping me. I think my parents have been helping me a lot, planning and organizing it. My girlfriend's been helping me. My, you know, Orlando Kart Center has been helping me. So they've been really, like, you know, I've learned a lot of stuff that I haven't thought about. You know, a lot of the major surprises we kind of avoided, which is good. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I get surprised by, but yeah, I have a lot of people around me helping me out and, you know, keeping me on my toes. So far it's not been anything crazy.
Well, we're going to get to watch a good bit more of it here as karts head onto the racetrack for heat number 3. And we finally, for the first time tonight, get to have A and B groups put all together. So a little issue with on the grid, but we'll get that sorted. Timing's been just a tick under the weather for us tonight, but we've at least had a good leaderboard. We know Nate Cicero will start on the pole, and I believe what's mixed up is Axel Cabrera is slated to start alongside him in the number 86 machine, and that's, I think, where the mix-up has been. But we know Nick Terlecki will start towards the front. Leonardo Scorpioni has a second and a first, hot off a major win in that second heat race. So we'll pull the grid down, watch these drivers begin to warm up here for heat number 3, A and B. This is, again, the driver who qualified first, and Nate Cicero, second, and Axel Cabrera. And then on back to the rest of the grid, a couple of green and white Tony Kart machines on the front row. Then it's the Hopes Driver Development, OTK, and Nick Terlecki on row 2. Alongside him will be Casper Turaboyski in the Energy Corsa Racing America's machine. Then Chase Gassiet Lee in that Coastal Link custom printing Nash Motorsports kart lines up along with Raheem Alibi, I believe, on row number 3, all the way through the 13 driver grid for groups A and B. So the final heat race of the night, the final chance to kind of do a test run before you go in to your main event. There is the head race director, Justin Dittrich, trying to let them all know, keep the pace down. And here we go for 8 laps. Nate Cicero on the left in the 82 in the blue suit leads us to turn 1, and look at Leonardo Scorpioni on the inside, jumping the curb. He gets around Riley Ramroop. He'll pick up a little bit of time already as they fly through turns 3 and 4 and over to turn 5. Down the inside, single file for the first 4, a little bit more side-by-side action behind him as a Scorpioni high and low trying to get a good run. He'll get a nice launch and back him up behind him here on the opening lap. Ryan, you've had some crazy moves in that sector. What's been the most surprising part of watching the racing here? Has there been any? Because, I mean, a lot of it is with local drivers like Leonardo Scorpioni that know that every nook and cranny of this place.
I haven't really got to watch any of the race, and this is the first race I've actually got to sit down and watch, so I'm actually kind of surprised. You know, I saw some of the battles earlier. You know, what's really standing out to me is, you know, Nate Cicero hasn't really been in the kart that much. He goes out there, sets it on pole, and he's really just set a tone. You know, he's been up front in a couple of heat races, and I can't remember if he's won one yet, but he's definitely, you know, one of those guys that has definitely set a precedent. But Axel Cabrera is really a driver that's stuck out to me. Only about an hour before, it was 2 minutes before registration closed, he went up to me, he's like, hey, can I still enter? And I was like, yeah, you can get a kart ready in an hour? And he's like, yeah, I can do it. And so he got a kart ready, and he's out there putting it up, you know, right up front with all these other drivers. And so, yeah, the racing's hard. Those tight hairpins, they really lead for a lot of, you know, intense battling. You can come from so far back there and just stick it up the inside, and it works. So, yeah, right now you see Nate Cicero slight lead. It looks like a Scorpioni's going to the inside of Terlecki. He hasn't totally cleared it yet, but you're going to see this driver right there blocking to the inside. He's got it, and Emma Scarborough goes with him.
Yeah, Scarborough goes through it, and Scorpioni gave a little love tap to Kasper Turvoboyski to keep him far enough in front to get around Terlecki, and nearly tried him there in the last turn. And again, that's a boyfriend and girlfriend there, Leo Scorpioni and Emma Scarborough. We'll see if there's any love lost between the couple as they go down to turns 1 and 2. First time they've versed each other tonight, as the two young drivers are 4th and 5th. At the moment, might be a little higher than that. A Scorpioni with a good move. An over-under from Kasper, and he runs him a little wide there out of turn 5. Seen that move plenty of times, and now they're going to go side by side coming out of the corner with Riley Ramroop looking on as he's gone around Nick Terlecki. And all of this, they're over 2.5 seconds back already, and that's pretty much a death sentence to battle for the win as Cameron Weinberg sends one on the inside of Terlecki and can't get through.
Yeah, it looks right now like Nate Cicero and Axel Cabrera are really just pushing, trying to get away, trying to just get a good heat race. But there you see Cameron Weinberg going up the inside of Nick Terlecki. He just hasn't seemed to get on a roll here. It just keeps to be going backwards. Cameron Weinberg and Nick Terlecki going up the inside of Raheem right there. Both drivers clearing him and getting their carts going back forward. But right now, I mean, it really looks like a Scorpioni's got some pace. He just seems to hit this wall every time he gets up to that energy cart. He just can't seem to get to the inside and get one done.
At least in the other 2 heat races, he made enough forward progress that he doesn't necessarily need to set the world on fire right here for a good starting spot as Riley Ramroop and Emma Scarborough are going at it there coming out of turn 5. And finally, Scorpioni gets around Turboyski there in turn 6. So as Scorpioni up into the 3rd spot now, Riley Ramroop has made up some ground tonight and nearly to the inside up there. Up front, Cabrera's gone through on Cicero for the lead. Then all the way back to this group battle, and for 3rd is Riley Ramroop. Ooh! Around he goes off with Scarborough right behind. That was a head-on shot. I don't want to put the blame on Emma if she was following him, but she was definitely leaving no gap between the two of them going into the corner.
Yeah, it's one of those things, you know, once you get down to the dirty side of the racetrack, it's hard to really gauge that corner. That hairpin is a lot tighter than you think, and when you're up on the inside of the racetrack, you still feel like you're braking early, and it's still not early enough. You know, we don't know exactly what happened, but, you know, 2 drivers going out there, disappointing way for them to end this last heat race. You know, it's definitely going to set you back a couple spots starting your final, but Turboyski, how do you say that? Turboyski, yeah. I mean, he had some impressive speed there. I mean, if he would have just finished this at the top 4, I mean, he would have definitely had a great starting spot for the final.
Yeah, they call him Turbo, and he's going to need it right now to get back up the grid and give himself a good starting spot for the main. Scorpioni still up the road. There's Weinberg. Cameron Weinberg, we spoke to him earlier as we see Gene Reyes pull out to the inside on Chase Gassiet-Lee with one more trying to follow. That's the 929 of Alex Dalbon-Cologne trying to go through. Gassiet-Lee going to hang on for that spot and bring Toroboyski with him. But Cameron Weinberg in the 4th spot. We heard from him after the 2nd heat race, Ryan, and David was asking him how he felt. He said, well, I feel like I probably could have put it on pole if I didn't come in 0.2 underweight, or at least run up front all the way through, because getting underweight in qualifying, he's had to start at the rear in all 3 of his heats. Drove it into the top 3 in heat 2. He's 4th right now. Probably too far back to do anything more than that, but that will be a good start considering the attrition that has gone down in this 3rd heat race for this group. Is here is again Turaboyski, Dalbon, and I believe Christopher Gierum there in the 9-10 right at the end of this 3-kart pack. All the while with Cabrera and Cicero out front, as there's Turaboyski with a nice move to the inside of Dalbon Cologne to get back around him, and it's allowed Gassiet Lee and unfortunately Gene Reyes as well to get further up the road. Terlecki losing a spot to your teammate Raheem Alibi, who is, I believe, 2nd-year senior driver in Raheem Alibi. Is that correct?
No, it's 1st year, I think.
First year.
He's just really tall. He looks a lot older than he is. But yeah, right now you see the 2 leaders still pushing away. This is the calmest battle we've kind of seen all week. I mean, or all day, actually. I mean, these 2 drivers are, it's one of those things when you've been racing hard all week, and you finally get an opportunity just to kind of fall in line and just push, and the other driver seems to be on the same page. You take that. It's like, let's just relax a little bit. Let's keep the tires underneath us. These guys only get, 1 set for the whole race event here. So, they're not going news for the final. So it does help to just get some time to save your tires. And, Nate Cicero right now, just using that draft just to stay right behind Axel Correa. He's letting him go out in front and just letting him, set the pace. And I'll just stay right behind you. No worries. I'm just going to keep my car underneath me and just try to keep the tires, in one piece.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how our weekends seem to go. Either we start off the weekend with a really bad heat race or pre-final, and then things kind of clean up, or they slowly progress, and then we get crazier at the end. But like you said, we've had hard racing all night long, so I don't know how crazy this last lap will get. Cabrera is going to last second dive up the inside and hold off Nate Cicero. I don't know if Nate's really wanting to go like you said. I mean, a 2nd place here is still a great points haul. Pretty much is going to clinch both of them. Either way, they finish right now to probably the first 2 rows, maybe back to row 3 with the way things have gone tonight, especially with a Scorpione 3rd and not winning here. That kind of balances the points a little bit. So final run down the backstretch for Axel. He'll go to the center. Cicero will go to the high side. Maybe practice for a move in that main because he's going to drag race him. He'll have a little bit of a run. I don't think it'll be enough to get clear, and it won't. Back in line to the S's. Final turn. Cabrera parks it on the inside. Cicero up over the curbing. He's got a decent run. Side by side at the line, though. Give it to Axel. So an hour, all it took to put the kart together, and he finally gets a heat race win. And it was fun to talk to Cabrera there after his 2nd heat. He said visibility's been his biggest struggle. As going into turn 5, he just can't find his braking marker. He wears glasses, and he said that's the only thing that sucks. Our go-kart is fantastic. I just keep missing corners.
No, I mean, Axel's really putting on a show right now. Again, like, he threw that kart together in an hour. He's put it up front. He's qualified well, and, he's just keeping the kart clean. I think, overall for both Nate and Axel, it's going to be a good starting spot. They should be starting near the first 2 rows, but overall a pretty calm heat considering what we've seen recently. The only really unfortunate part was Emma Scarborough and Turbo getting into it there a little bit, and it just seemed like one of those racing incidents. I'm not the race director here, so I don't know what he's going to call it as, but one of those things where it's just unfortunate for both drivers. Neither one really got out of there in a good spot.
Yeah, not at all for either one. Scarborough back in 12th, Turbo still back just edge of the top 10, so that'll hurt them a little bit in the points, especially when you have the more consistent drivers still have a good one like Cicero, Cabrera, Scorpione, Weinberg. Like you said, that was probably our most tame heat of the night. But how about it for this young man? Enzo Vidmontien leads the points right now into the main event starting lineup with 2 heat race wins. The only driver to do so to this point. And, I mean, he just looked spectacular. It felt like he even got better from heat 1 to heat number 2. Just so fast. He started good in the first heat, got the lead by first way through half the lap, and then dominated, pulled away. 2nd heat, not a good start, didn't matter. Drove through, got to the lead by lap 5, and walked away again. So, I mean, what have we, you watching a little bit of what's been able to go on and seeing him around the paddock, I mean, it seems like he's got a lot of confidence for one of the junior drivers racing here.
He does. I mean, right now, I mean, this was kind of the reason I opened the age up for this class, just because I know there's a lot of talented junior drivers in this field that, they don't get to race against the senior drivers, don't really get to prove their stuff, and a lot of the time they go straight to cars out of junior. And so, I wanted to allow these drivers to get a chance to show their skills. And right now, Enzo's really doing that. I mean, he's won both heat races, kind of dominant. There's no real kart right now that's been that dominant, at least in the heat races that I've seen, that can just kind of march back through. And, even though the times maybe not are like, the fastest, he just has that speed and that momentum going forward every race, and he seems to be able to work his way through pretty easily. But right now, I mean, he's got some good drivers starting the outside. We got Steven Miller, an ex-junior driver, and then he's got 2 juniors again right behind him. So this is kind of like the very young field, Like I feel old looking at this field, but right now, I mean, this is going to be one of the younger groups, and we'll see how they do. Let's see if they bring this racing action that we've been seeing.
Yeah, I mean, you and me both. We don't go back that many years to find them still in mini, and you and I being well on our way to being veterans and seniors. So a very young grid here with Steven Miller and Enzo Vidmontien, who spent all of last year going head-to-head. Of course, Jackson Wolney, Victor De Alencar right in the mix as well, all getting set to roll off. Steven had a lot more aggression in both of his heat races, and we've seen him be aggressive over the years. Hopefully that underglowed Nash Motorsports EOS car can get a good start from the outside of the or inside of the front row and line up nicely. This is the first time he gets the inside lane in all of his heat races being in Group C. Enzo's had to go from the outside for all of his heats to this point. So the final part of our main event grid getting set to get underway here with Miller and Vidmontien on row 1, Jackson Wolney and Victor De Alencar row 2. Then you finally get to one of our senior drivers in Finnegan Bailiff, rolling off from P5 on the inside of row 3 alongside Alexander Vanchev, Frederick Manning, Eric Questo, Cash Felber, and Roman Felber. The brothers back on row 5. They've been around each other all weekend or all day in times. First time they get to be side by side. And then ZCD and Colin Lloyd, 2 drivers. Colin Lloyd now with a bit of experience under his belt as well. They've both gone forward pretty quickly in their heat races to this point to make up a lot of time. So we'll keep our eye on them as we watch the final heat underway. Of course, the main event, folks, if you're watching, that's also later on tonight. It's all one big show here running until 10 p.m. Eastern. So we've got only about 40 minutes till that main event gets underway. It's a quick turnaround for these drivers here in the final heat race C and D before we get to the main card later this evening. But they're going to warm the tires up. Enzo Vidmontien, Steven Miller, Jackson Wolney, Victor De Alencar. 4 different teams represented here in the first 4 starting spots. Trinity Karting Group, Nash Motorsports, Speed Concepts Racing, and the Rawlson Performance Group, all from first to fourth. As they round the final turn, Enzo Vidmontien loving this inside lane starting spot. Let's see if he can't make it solid as they head on to the front straightaway for the final heat race of the night in the semi-pro night of the Ryan Norberg Pro-Kart Invitational. We are green for 8 laps here. Miller with a good jump, and he'll quickly go way high and down low to give himself a nice run over to turn number 5 as they head through the kink at turn 4. Vidmontien second, Wolney third, Bailiff into 4th as he gets by De Alencar, and they're all single file headed to turn number 6 here. Still single file coming out of that left-handed hairpin. Steven Miller, Enzo Vidmontien, 1 and 2. Through the sweeper, big run for Vidmontien to the bumper, but he's going to take it nice and easy. He didn't even jump the curb there at the infield kink, so he'll stay behind. Down the backstretch, Steven Miller under pressure. Vidmontien making it look easy as he pulls up and goes to the inside. New leader, Enzo Vidmontien, as they head to the S's for the first time. And Ryan mentioned no one really looked like they had the car to the beat. To me, I think the thing that made Enzo so dangerous is he looks like for the couple of corners that he gets clear racetrack, he may not necessarily be lap time-wise every lap faster than everybody else, but definitely can put his kart almost anywhere it feels like it. It just rolls speed and grips, and already car length up on Miller as they head down to turn number 5. So Vidmontien to Miller to Wolney, Finn Bailiff, Victor De Alencar. Didn't take long, Ryan, here for Enzo to get through to the lead. I'll give Steven credit, though. He's holding him honest right now, and Miller's been in more battles than kind of pace-based races, so I'm curious what this one will look like, because it seems like this is going to be kind of a more of a chess match, back and forth, hitting each corner or missing it by just that much of what might separate the gaps out.
Yeah, and, you know, Steven's really had that experience in senior these past couple weekends. So, you know, he's been used to running, you know, a little bit longer races, you know, trying to manage his tires a little bit more. So, you know, I don't know what strategy is. Maybe he's, you know, conserving a little bit. At this point, though, you know, it does look like Enzo has that just a little bit of an advantage. You can see as they go into turn number 1, Enzo just, he flicks that kart into there. He's got some good grip. So, you know, we'll see if anybody's kind of holding on for the final, you know, just to save that little extra bit. But there you go down the inside. Victor DeAlencar tried to go up the inside over the curb a little bit, and now he's going to lose another spot. You know, that's one of those things where you try to go for one, you end up losing one to Alex Vanchez there. So now you see DeAlencar falling back into the 6th spot there. But right now, you know, Enzo Vidmontien and Stephen Miller, but Jackson Wolney actually, what a good start for him. You know, he's had some tough battles these past couple heat races. He's fallen back, and it seems like right now he's in just a good spot. He's got a little bit of a gap in front of him and behind him. You know, just kind of, you know, slide in right there and try to just stay consistent.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, just, you know, roll with the punches and learn. This is still only a heat race. At the end of the day, if you've got 2 decent heat races already under your belt, you don't need every single spot. Put some consistent laps together, gather some more confidence, and of course, gather any more intel you can to go to the main event later tonight. That's what Stephen Miller's doing right now, it looks like. That was probably the closest thing to a pass attempt since falling behind Enzo Vidmontien. He hasn't made a counter charge. He's just been kind of riding in the wake, letting the draft pull him back up on the straightaways, lose a little bit to him in the turns, but I can tell you right now, Stephen Miller's probably got the best read of where his kart is maybe lacking or where he's lacking all night, because he has either been entrenched in a battle or leading laps. At this point here, he's finally been able to follow for a few laps and just see if maybe Enzo is rolling 1 or 2 corners a little different than him. You could see the differences in the lines for sure as we go back to this fight for 4th. This looks like it might open up soon. DeAlencar getting back around Vanchev quickly and already onto the bumper of Finnegan Bailiff. So as we hit the halfway mark, 4 down, 4 to go. Victor DeAlencar's quickly rebounded from that one mistake. He's got another shot to take it to the veteran in Finnegan Bailiff as they head to turn number 5. And at the same time, new leader Stephen Miller finally going through on Enzo Vidmontien to the point.
Yeah, both drivers there battling it out. And like you said, Stephen Miller, you know, he's been sitting behind a lot of drivers. And, you know, a lot of the time, it's hard to be a leader the whole weekend. You know, if you win every heat race, yeah, you've got a dominant kart, but you're just growing that target on your back. And then also, it's hard to see what other drivers are doing when you're out front. You know, when you just put laps down out front, it's hard to really change the setup because it's working. It's hard to adjust. You know, you have that thing in the back of your mind that's telling you, the kart's a little bit free. Change it. Why change something that's working, right? And so it just is that thing that eats at you. And it's a lot of the time, you know, winning the heat races and doing well, it sometimes ends up being a lot harder than, you know, being in Stephen Miller's position where you've seen everybody, you've raced with everybody, you know everybody's weak spots. You can just kind of pick it out in the final and just, you know, lay down some good laps. So right now you see Stephen Miller in the lead. Enzo Vidmontien, though, he's right on his bumper, glued to it. And that's what I mean by you can see he has a stronger kart. You know, when he was out leading, Miller was, you know, staying with the toe, and he had to find a spot to pass. Where when Enzo's behind him, it just looks like he can go in any corner.
Right, and again, flip the script, right? Enzo's getting a great read on Steven because, granted, he had to drive through the grid in the second heat race, but the first heat race, he led every single lap. Had no idea if his kart needed anything else compared to anyone else on the racetrack. I want to give a shout out here as this group continues to fight with DeAlencar getting around Finnegan Bailiff to Jackson Wolney. The first heat race, this young man struggled a little bit. Couldn't really crack the top 5 at all. Ran just at the back of the grid. And a big turnaround and a lot of coaching, I'm sure, from Austin Garrison on the SCR Red Speed has gotten him into a safe 3rd place spot and a front row seat to what's about to be a big time battle for the lead. As we've got a lap and 3/4 to go. Miller is already low lining because he finally wants to get a heat win, but he left the door cracked. And now we're door to door to turn 6. Enzo, Steven, seen this story a bunch before, but give the advantage to Enzo now, and that might, that kind of awkward exit for Miller might have sealed it here if we see the pace continue for Vidmontien.
And all that's done is brought in Jackson Wolney. So right now it was 2 karts, now it's 3 heading down into the back straightaway. Enzo, he's got just enough of a lead, but that's not enough for Stephen Miller. He's going to try and send something on that. There you go, Enzo closes the door. He knew that, you know, with Stephen Miller behind you, he's going to try and send that pass. So right now, 2-kart battle. Enzo's down to the inside, heading into the last chicane. He's going to cover off that inside spot. The over-under from Stephen Miller. They get together. Oh, and that, nothing.
Oh, Wilde tried to throw it down the inside there on the dog leg. Couldn't quite get there. That hole closed up pretty quickly. They're battling pretty hard back for the 4th and 5th spot as well. Finn Bailiff fell all the way to 7th that lap, just ahead of Frederick Manning. Look at Steven. Oh my goodness. Big contact, and he destroys the front end of Vin Montien as the two get stuck together for the lead and the win on the final lap of the heat race. And like you said earlier, no gap too big for Stephen Miller, and what a gift and a half for Jackson Wolney, who leads. Bailiff now in the battle for what has now become 4th and 5th. Day Alencar is 2nd, and in 3rd right behind him is Alexander Vanchev. This has completely energized the midfield to go at it because they're so much higher up the grid now, and this is going to shake up our grid quite a bit as they all drag race 3 wide further back. Day Alencar, Vanchev with a nice move to the inside, but he'll go too deep. Day Alencar over-unders, and Jackson Wolney wins the heat race here, the final heat of the night, giving us some more fireworks for the main as they're 2 and 3 wide, and Stephen Miller, Enzo Vidmontien colliding there in turn number 5. We'll see if we can't pull a replay from that moment as well, because that was aggressive right there. That would have been maybe a move I'd expect for tomorrow's $10,000 final stage.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty aggressive for a heat race. I mean, right now, it's both of those drivers have good results and definitely a good starting spot. I mean, Enzo Vidmontien was basically guaranteed pole if he just finished 2nd. So, I don't blame Enzo. I mean, he went into the corner. He defended. Maybe you could defend a little bit more, but in that spot, the door was almost closed, and yeah, I mean, it's 2 drivers fighting really hard for a heat race, and I mean, I wouldn't be driving that hard.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's like you said, Enzo defended, could have closed the door off more. Maybe could have pounded the brakes for a second on the exit, but Steven at the same time, he sent it really hard down the inside of that corner, and at point of contact, I mean, he wasn't anywhere close to rotated. So I believe we've got the look at that, and here it is, full speed going in, and you can just see, I mean, the cart bounced all the way for Steven all the way out. I don't know if he meant to close him off completely, but it definitely hurt both of their days. And now, again, with an event like this, they've only got 20 minutes once they get through scales to go and repair. I mean, Vidmontien's front end's destroyed. We'll see.
Yeah,
look at Miller, his front end's killed as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's just not smart. I mean, in the drivers' meeting, we talked about this. I talked about all the drivers, and I told them that there's not a lot of time. This is a show. We got to make it appetizing. You see right there, Stephen Miller goes to the inside. You see Enzo's rotated right at the point that Stephen gets over the curb. And like you said, I don't think there was, I don't think it was intentional that Stephen was trying to drive him off and into the wall, but he just had nowhere to go. He hit the curb and he kind of bounced right into him. But it's tough to see 2 good drivers like that, go out. That they were both starting up front. Either if they would have finished where they finished, or 1st or 2nd, it didn't matter. They both would have started, in a good spot. So yeah, it's tough to see that.
Well, let's go down to the kid that worked his way through the chaos. David Land has caught up with Jackson Wolney. What a final lap here, Dave. Let's go to you.
All right, Jackson, you had the front row seat to that one. Just walk us through it, and obviously you'll take a win any way you can get them, right?
Yeah, so pretty much the whole race, I was just trying to stay with Enzo and Steven the whole time, pushing the whole way through. And
from the scale area, so Stephen Miller, Enzo Vidmontien involved in a last lap skirmish, unfortunately, that takes them out of heat number 3, and that's going to have everyone pulling the calculators out to try and figure out which groups or what order we're going to line them for the main event tonight here at 9:40. So we'll take a short commercial break here in a few moments, but it's about another 30 minutes and we get underway with main event action.
I need a new 219 chain. I need a 77 tooth roof sprocket. I need some more chain lube, and I need it probably as soon as tomorrow. Dude, are you even listening? We need this to run this weekend.
Want anything else?
What do you mean?
I already got it in the car on Acceleration Kart Racing's online store, bro. All orders over $200 get free shipping.
Oh, throw in a set of tires.
Done.
Everything you need, all in one place, and shipped to your door for free on orders of $200 or more. Exclusions apply. Shop AKR.com.
Studies show that even the best current generation of simulators only convince 50% of the human brain that they are real. Here at SimCraft, that just isn't realistic enough. Developed to offer the most realistic karting sim experience in the world, all testing has shown that the physics engine used in SimCraft's Grid 1 model convinces 90% of the human brain that you are actually on track. Now that is the real deal.
So you will finally want to get behind the wheel, huh?
Yeah, I've been shooting for 3 years and I've never got to drive.
Well, you're going to need some more gear than just your helmet. Why don't you go to shopakr.com. They got their inventory online and they'll ship it the same day if you order before 5:30 p.m. Eastern.
They got shoes?
Yep.
Gloves?
Yep.
Rib protectors?
Got those too.
Can they make me go fast?
No.
Here at Acceleration Kart Racing, we've got everything you need to get on track. What happens next, well, that's on you. Check us out online at shopakr.com.
Here at MPG Motorsports, our main goal is to provide the best pathway into professional motorsports for our entire team, drivers and mechanics alike. We're based out of Whiteland Raceway Park in Indiana. For more information, contact us at chase@mpg-motorsports.com.
So with about 7 minutes and 45 seconds until we get the command to fire engines for this main event, let's take a look back at how we got here. First of all, heat number 1 offered us some action, but overall, a lot of highlights when looking back at our heat races here from this evening. So let's see all the major moments. First up, of course, coming across the line here, Nate Cicero battling with Stephen Miller and Nick Terlecki early on, and in that first heat, it just felt like Nate got shuffled back. So in the second one, well, he got his elbows out quite a bit. Of course, Raheem Alibi getting shuffled a bit. Here's Leo Scorpioni on the inside of Finnegan Bailiff. And there were moves kind of all the way through the field. There was Gene Reyes making a move by Riley Ramroot. But this was, again, just one of 6 heat races that we had throughout the night. Nate Cicero had been quick all the way through, and a good run to the inside there got him around Stephen Miller. And as he continued to pull the gap just enough to get away, well, Steven said that's too big of a gap. I'm going to try and send it. Nate got back around him, and this was a big turnaround from that opening heat race, but right here it all went wrong as the two kind of got together in the braking zone off into the tires. Steven bottomed out, and it gave that heat race win to Leonardo Scorpioni, who has been probably the most consistent man through the heats. Then on the other half of the grid, from heat number 2, of course, Axel Cabrera got a nice jump on Enzo Vidmontien, was able to pull away just enough to start to build a gap up, but it didn't take long for Enzo to work his way back through the grid. There was passing behind him as he worked his way up into 3rd, then made his way further up while Cameron Weinberg did the same, just about 2 positions back every time. Eventually, Enzo got to the lead over Axel Cabrera, and for the second heat race in a row after he dominated his opening heat race, leading from turn 5 a lap 1 on, this one had to come from a little bit further back after a not-so-great start, but ultimately, same result. 2 heat race wins for the junior driver here for the Trinity Karting Group Kart Republic squad. And then, of course, we go back to heat number 3. This was with Nate Cicero and Axel Cabrera making it all Tony Kart front row. The final heat race for all them, a Scorpioni having to start deep in the field and didn't make up as many spots I think he would have hoped on the opening lap, but right here things got a little bit wild. Him and Turbo, Kasper Turaboyski, getting together in the infield hairpin. No harm, no foul though, as the field went back onto the front straightaway. And then looking further back, some major moves through the grid here. Nate Cicero sending it, or not sending it, sorry, staying right with Axel Cabrera, I should say. He had the option to send it, is the better way to go. And he kind of kept him honest, raced him there on the final lap, went side by side, but ultimately decided to just kind of ride there in second. He gave him a good run to the line, but that was it. Just ended up P2, Scorpioni 3rd, and Cameron Weinberg for the 3rd heat race in a row worked his way up in through the grid to a 4th place result that time in heat number 3. And then this one, what we just saw about 20 minutes ago, Stephen Miller, Enzo Vidmontien, a young, very young first couple of rows here. A lot of junior drivers or ex-junior turned senior rookies in the form of Stephen Miller. And early on, it looked like things were all pretty clean. Vidmontien got around Miller. Then further back here, Vanchev. This is him with Victor De Alencar, who kind of went backwards, then forwards, battling with the likes of Finnegan Bailiff and company. But right here, the battling started to open back up. Stephen Miller got back around here this evening. So we continue to tell you all to stay posted, stay with us. Main event action here is just minutes away.
tell them that Dave's ready whenever.
Let's go down to pit lane here. We heard it from him. Let's go to you, Dave, with the countdown to green continuing to go and the pump around fuel getting ready to roll. David Land is ready to, I believe, chat with us a little bit, mainly chat with all the drivers getting ready to go here for tonight's Semi-Pro main event. So let's go to you, Dave.
Yeah, thanks, Xander. We're down here. This is not really a grid walk. It's more of like a line walk, but let's do a little bit of line walking. Let's talk to Stephen Miller because there was a bit of a issue at the end of the last race. Stephen, let's talk a little bit about the incident at the end of the race, at the end of the heat race. I mean, what was your perspective from it? It looked like a pretty far send back.
Yeah, it was really tight to the corner. I don't know, I'm not sure what really happened. He was down on the inside, and we kind of got together, and it caused me to wreck. Both tie rods were broken and a steering shaft.
So how are you going to be able to recover in this final? I mean, how much did that set you back?
I mean, I'm starting P11, so I have a shot, definitely. But I just have to get a good start, and I'll be all fine.
All right, so let's keep moving. Let's keep line dancing here. See if we can't find anybody else. Let's go see if we can get Nate Cicero. All right, Nate. A bit noisy down here, isn't it?
Yeah,
it sounds like a racetrack. But Nate, you've been fast all day long. Now's it's not the pay window open yet, but it'll certainly set you up good for tomorrow. So, what's the strategy? I assume it's just be as aggressive as all these guys are about to be.
Yeah, I've been trying to figure out all the racing. I think, I learned a lot in the 3 heats, and we've been up there every time, a third, second. We got a quick kart, so just keep it up front and see how it goes in the last few laps.
You compared it to MX5 racing. You got a little bit less fender in these things, but, kind of describe that because I know a lot of these up-and-coming drivers are going to be looking at MX5 as their next step. What can they kind of learn from KA100 and take it to the Miata?
Yeah, the biggest thing is the drafting. Draft is so important in KA, and it's such close racing like it is in the MX5, so that's how similar it is, and you got to learn the racecraft here and use it in the cars.
All right, Nate Cicero is going to be hoping to use a little bit less of the bumper today than he would use in that MX5. Let's keep going down the line here and see if we can't find anybody else to talk to. Unfortunately, we got a lot of helmets coming on. Let's get Cameron. Cameron, let's grab you on the grid real quick here. We talked to you a few times, but you're pretty confident. You think you got the speed, but obviously a lot more karts on the track here. How you got to get to the front?
Make it through turn 1. And hopefully get 2 or 3 spots in the first couple of corners. Maybe not get shuffled back too much, but I'm really confident with what we've got, so it should be good.
It looks like it's probably going to be pretty wild based on the last couple of heats. I mean, is there anything you can do to kind of anticipate what guys are going to be squirrels out there?
Yeah, most of the junior drivers that are newer, they're kind of wild, but it's been not too bad, so.
Good stuff. Thanks, Cameron. We'll see you hopefully at the end of the race. Let's get Finnegan Bailiff. Let's talk to him. All right, Finnegan, how's things been going? Let's get out of the way of the line here. I'm always causing trouble when I do these things. So, all right, evaluation of the last couple of heats since we talked. How you feeling?
Pretty good. I think we've had pace. We just needed a little bit more to get up front and actually win the thing. But yeah, I think we've got good pace, and if we can get a little more, it's fine.
Looks like it's going to be pretty wild out there. I mean, how good are you at avoiding wrecks? Because it looks like that might be where we're headed.
I'm okay at it. Sometimes I get in them, sometimes I don't, but I think we'll be good this time.
I think most race car drivers would describe themselves that way. Thank you, Finnegan Bailiff. Now, let's grab you. I can never, Leonardo, that's easy. It helps to have a cheat sheet, guys. It's so easy. Okay, Leonardo, you've been so fast. You've had some great opportunities today. You got to win in one of the heats. What do you got to do to finish up top in the final here tonight?
I mean, just not get worried. It's 16 laps. It's a long race. I mean, just push and try to pull away and leave the fight for the last 2 laps.
All right, who are you worried about? Because there's definitely a lot of fast guys, but you haven't all raced each other. So looking at the heats like we have, what are some names that are coming to mind that you're going to be racing today?
I think Enzo and Axel and Nate, I think we're going to push away and be good for the last 2 laps, have a good battle, clean, be fun.
All right, thank you very much. We'll hopefully be talking at the end of the day. All right, let's talk to Enzo real quick, because Enzo, first of all, how are you doing after that accident? We saw you kind of limping a little bit. How are you feeling right now? What's the physicality right now?
I don't feel good. My ankle hurts a lot. I mean, I don't need the brakes. All I need the gas, so.
That's a good way of looking at it, I guess. I mean, if you just never use the brakes, you don't have to use the ankle. But, describe that incident, because we talked to Steven there, and, he said he made a mistake. So I'm assuming that's kind of how you feel about it, too.
I don't think he made a mistake. I was right in the corner, sent it over the curb, and just over me. So I don't see how that's a mistake. I see as that no respect. Just trying to take people out. Yeah.
So you, up till that point, you'd had a perfect day. And, I think you still got a pretty good shot. We know this go-kart's fast. I think the driver's pretty good, too. How do you put this thing in victory circle here at the end of the day?
I don't know if I'm going to win. I'm going to try, of course. Kart might be a little bent. Couldn't finish it in time, but I think it's fine. I'm going to just try my best.
He's going to try his best. He's been perfect pretty much the entire day. Enzo Montien, thank you. Hopefully we'll be talking later. Let's see if we can get an old former Indy 500 driver in here. Zachary Clayman DeMello, what's up, my man? Leader of the Indy 500. You're going to try to get the win here at the Pro Invitational. How you doing tonight? I've seen you almost tip the go-kart over on the curb, so you're sending it tonight.
Yeah, trying a few different things. I have a bit to improve on. We had a few issues there, so hopefully we solved them. But I think come final time, especially tomorrow, we'll be in the fight. I mean, tomorrow's the main goal for me. I want that money.
Doesn't everybody? Now, what can you learn tonight, to make it good in that final?
I mean, it's a different tire tomorrow, so the main thing is work on the motor, test the carburation, play around, and have some fun out there, just race like I always race, make a show.
Good stuff. We like a show. Thank you, ZCD, or ZCD, as he would say, as a Canadian. Hey, let's grab you, Mr. Axel. Hey, you know what? You figured out that darkness there. All right, what'd you do? What'd you figure out?
I just braked earlier. went for the safe bet.
You know what? Every now and then, the great Mario Andretti has a quote that the race car driver uses the brakes not to go slower, but to go faster through the corner. So, hey, maybe you figured something out. But, since you've been running up at the front all day and you've raced against a lot of the guys, I mean, who are the real legitimate contenders in this thing? Who are you racing tonight?
I mean, I'm not exactly sure where everybody starts, but for sure some of the younger guys are actually really quick. Leo, the Scorpione, is really fast, so he'll definitely be one to contend with. Nate is super consistent, and I know Enzo's starting close, and he's been one of the fastest or the fastest, so we'll have to watch out for him.
All right, thank you, Axel. He's been braking a little bit earlier, and hey, you know what? I think we're to the end of the line, so we'll head it back up to you, Xander. I hope you guys enjoyed that. We spoke to, I think, about half of the grid on that line.
Yeah, chatted with a good bit of them, and just a few more added minutes here. That's what we apologize about resetting the countdown timer. I know many of you have tuned back in, getting ready to get out for the main, but we're just waiting on the final few drivers to get down onto the grid. So we have a few more moments before this one gets underway, but it's almost time, almost ready for everyone to go through. You can see if we go back up to where they were moving through when we first went by, it looked like they were topping everybody off with fuel. So that could be a mix of either a pump around or it might have just been for the top few drivers. But you saw that big drum with the fuel gun going into Stephen Miller's kart before we started that track or that grid walk. As you see, Colin Lloyd is all suited up in his pink and white T1D Racers Inter MS colors. But I think that was part of it. They're obviously doing some last-minute checks here on the pushback bumpers before they go through. That is pretty standard anywhere that we go now that we run these pushback bumpers to make sure no one's got a hole in the bottom or is rigged it anyway to not be pushed in. But at the same time, up at the just ahead of them is where I think they're adding in any bit of added fuel for anyone who needs it in this Norberg Pro-Kart Invitational, or doing a pump around just to make sure no one's adding anything special into it, because it's a short turnaround for everyone. That means it's just a short turnaround in general as well for the mechanics. So having the fuel on the grid, I know a couple people have air compressors that they've kind of been loaning out on the grid for the guys that want to use the pit bays at the front. So
There you can see here on Colin Lloyd's Inter-MS T1D Racers Kart Republic, just a last-minute top-off with fuel up to wherever they want. They won't necessarily go to a full tank unless they're banking on it. They're all trying to go right at or just above the minimum weight requirement. But you can see there's a bit of fuel, a pushback bumper check. That's what's just got a couple extra minutes here added on before we go green. So we're trying to match that right with the timer. This is actually the only part tonight that has been any bit off of the exact timetable. And to everyone's credit here, it seems like the drivers weren't necessarily too far late. Maybe a couple extra minutes, but not terribly far behind. And most of that grid is starting to come together. So we had a few come from the back in qualifying, like ZCD, like Colin Lloyd, like Cameron Weinberg. Now they're going to get a better starting spot. And overall, while everyone's raced against everyone at least once right now, they haven't done a longer race. Like Leonardo Scorpione mentioned, that this being 16 laps is a big turnaround from what it was for 3 8-lap heat races. A lot more time for things to happen, a lot more time just to, let things kind of calm down. And you heard Ryan Norberg say, sometimes after you have a couple crazy races and you get one with the opportunity to just kind of ride, it's a welcomed feeling. It's a moment where you can just, roll, whether you're in second, third, fourth, fifth, first, the lead, wherever. But just have a calm race and put laps down, especially not work the tires too hard. That's a welcomed surprise for sure. But looking at the starting grid here, it looks like Nate Cicero, after the points have been tallied from every which way, that will still get to lead us to green in that Macomb McAleer Mazda MX-5 Cup sponsored Tony Kart, as him and Jeremy Fletcher taking a break from a full-time Mazda MX-5 Cup campaign with help from Applegate Seat House as well. Racing here this weekend, the two Mazda Motorsports drivers are ready to roll and fully liveried up there in every way, shape, or form for Nate Cicero and Jeremy Fletcher on their Tony Karts. Nick Terlecki consistent through the heats, maybe not the speed that he'd like. He rolls third. You can see Jackson Wolney there on the outside of row 2, and then right next to Terlecki will be, looks to be one of the Kart Republic's potentially Cameron Weinberg. But Nick Terlecki on the AvsD OTK, not necessarily the speed to win, but at least a starting spot that he can fight from. And there is Enzo Vidmonte, and even with the crash, looks like he'll get calculated to start on the front row alongside Nate Cicero through everything. So that's good news for Enzo. You heard from him there that all he needs really is a right foot to hang on and go and win this thing. He doesn't necessarily need his left ankle to work all too good, or either ankle. As you saw, his front end got driven over pretty hard in that final heat race. But kudos to him for getting back out there and ready to get after it. And there's a look at the Bailiff brothers. Gavin Bailiff working for big brother Finnegan Bailiff on the grid. You heard from Finn as he was working his way through the scale line. Just needs a little more to fight for the win, but he's at least stayed out of trouble, hasn't gotten in any crashes, just kind of been up, down, sideways, and all around the top 5 in his heat races. That puts him in a safe top 10 starting spot here for this semi-pro main event. So a few more moments to go, but you can see drivers are into their karts now. Helmets on, gloves on, suits up. We're moments away from going green here. When we return, it's the Ryan Norberg semi-pro main event for the Norberg Pro-Kart Invitational.
Studies show that even the best current generation of simulators only convince 50% of the human brain that they are real. Here at SimCraft, that just isn't realistic enough. Developed to offer the most realistic karting sim experience in the world, all testing has shown that the physics engine used in SimCraft's Grid 1 model convinces 90% of the human brain that you are actually on track. Now that is the real deal.
Here at MPG Motorsports, our main goal is to provide the best pathway to professional motorsports for our entire team, drivers and mechanics alike. We're based out of Whiteland Raceway Park in Indiana. For more information, contact us at chase@mpg-motorsports.com.
Engines fired, and away we go. 16 laps for the Ryan Norberg Invitational Semi-Pro main event here. Let's get set to get them underway, folks, here as it's Nate Cicero, Enzo Vidmontien, Leonardo Scorpioni, Axel Cabrera, and more, all lining up the front of the field. All 23 drivers together once again for the first time to race at least. They were on track all together for qualifying. That was 3 hours ago with the sun still up. So almost 4 actually now as they're pushing right at 10 o'clock local time. One full warm-up lap to get some heat into those Avinco tires. And then we'll be racing and underway here. And the last time they'll use this set, because everyone going into tomorrow gets to move to the softer compound and join the All-Star Pro drivers for the Ryan Norberg Pro-Kart Invitational. The likes of A.J. Myers, a multi-time Pro Shifter National Champion, Danny Formal, Mr. 4-time Supernats champ, Brandon Carr, Diego Ramos, of course Norberg himself, Austin Garrison as well, Jeremy Fletcher off the provisional entry, and the same for Elio Meza and more. That will make up a massive grid of 30 deep tomorrow evening. For tonight though, this is about winning a ticket, an entry to the SuperKarts USA Pro Tour Winter Nationals. Opening weekend next week in Orlando right here. The winner tonight of this main event gets it. As you see the starting grid begin to cycle on through all the way to the rear with the resto, I believe. And I think that's a tick off. So we'll get the right grid as they come around, because the Scorpioni definitely looks good on the front row alongside Axel Cabrera. Then it's Nate Cicero and Vidmontien. Then Nick Terlecki, and then Jackson Wolney. All the way back the rest of the field. Quickly hustling to get into position. Here we go for the Norberg Pro-Kart Invitational. Semi-Pro final. We're green. Down at turns 1 and 2. So far, so good. There's Emma Scarborough in the black suit on the inside, picking up a spot or two up and over the concrete. As down at turn number 5 we go. Big lead for Axel Cabrera. Nick Terlecki getting aggressive there on Enzo Vidmontien to get by, who's side by side with Cameron Weinberg, who gets shuffled a little bit wide by Stephen Miller. And Miller and Vidmontien right around each other now here as they go through the sweeper. Miller said, hey, it was a bit of a bobble. Vidmontien said, I don't know how much of a mistake that would be, but either way, Vidmontien through on Terlecki. Cameron Weinberg gets through on Stephen Miller as they go down the back straightaway. And into turn number 10, you can see Jackson Wolney. There was Kasper Turaboyski just behind him there on the energy. So Vidmontien puts one car between him and Stephen Miller. Begins to roll here for the 16-lap final. It's Cabrera, Leo Scorpioni, Nate Cicero first, second, third through turns 1 and 2 with about a second and a half back to Vidmontien. Any move up front, we're going to have one. Leo Scorpioni to the lead down in turn number 5. He gets through on Axel Cabrera. Then Nate Cicero closing in there in third, about a half car length away. Coming out of turn number 5 and over to turn number 6 through the sweeper. It's a bright yellow fella, the black and yellow Zanella Racing colors, leading the AKT Racing team, Tony Card of Cabrera. And then the privateer, Mazda Motorsports, Applegate Seedhouse entry of Nate Cicero in third. Then a couple Kart Republics. Terlecki back for 6 under fire. Stephen Miller gets through on the inside in turn number 10. He goes through. Terlecki back to the 7th spot with more company on the way as Jackson Wolney closes in here at the end of lap number 2. 2 down, 14 laps to go in this semi-pro final. And for Leonardo Scorpioni, at the moment, the goal is obviously just going to be to get away. Put as many good laps together as you can. Hope that they don't dive bomb you right back. Maybe they'll work together with you, and you can make the last bit of this race a little bit easier to pay for that entry to the Winter Nationals next week here in KA Senior for him, or maybe a run over in the Pro X30 category. That'll have that interesting pro show in the afternoon on Saturday and Sunday. None of it, though, mattering nearly as much as Enzo Vidmontien's drive because he is much faster than all of these drivers at the moment. I mean, look at how much he's quickly reeling in the rear bumper of Nate Cicero. This kid is on fire here this evening. Enzo Vidmontien closes up again through the final few turns. The gap last time by was a second back to the kid in fourth. It is now 8/10. He's 2/10 better than the leader. And I think he's about maybe a 10th better than Nate Cicero, who is, to his credit, holding right even with Axel Cabrera. Cameron Weinberg about a second back from Vidmontien, trying to charge back forward with him as well. So through turn number 6, no changing for the lead this time as he worked lap 4, coming at 12 to go. Long race ahead still, folks. That's good news for Vidmontien fans, because even though they're not battling up front, he's got plenty of laps to track them down, pick them off one at a time, and try to turn that crash there here at the end of heat number 3 into a main event win and help pay off that nose cone and front end damage a little bit with a free entry to next weekend's SCUSA Pro Tour. Through the infield S's out of the final turn. 4 laps complete, 12 laps to go. Scorpioni, Cabrera, Cicero, big run for Vidmontien. He's going to go for third in turn number 1. Give it to the 895. He gets through on Nate down in the first 2 corners. Weinberg's picked up about 4/10 of his own, and Cabrera now takes over the lead from Leo. So a lot to talk about there on lap number 4 at the end. Cameron Weinberg closing in, and so is Stephen Miller. Nick Terlecki not quite there, 2.6 seconds back on the Hodes TD Tony Kart, but out of the back hairpin down a long bamboo straightaway for Axel Cabrera and Leonardo Scorpioni. Enzo Vidmontien, Nate Cicero, Weinberg, and Miller about to make it 6 cars deep in this lead group, and you don't have to go too far back to get to Nick Terlecki and the Heat 3 winner in Jackson Wolney. So we might be 8 deep here before too long, and this isn't even the money race. They are not even running for the $20,000 total purse tomorrow night. This is just a Pro Tour entry, some extra laps, and a good show. And I'm sure, as we've heard tonight a little bit, that's the junior drivers that want to make an impression on these senior boys. Enzo Vidmontien, and now again to the inside with a Scorpioni going wide. And Axel Cabrera says, thank you very much. Kids, I'll take that lead right back away. But 3 wide for the lead, 2 turns in a row. Really, it was Enzo Vidmontien going a 2-for-1 move in turn 5. Now he's got a crossover on Cabrera, who drives him down to the grass. At the end, on the outside, look at Weinberg to the inside for third. Little over-under action there, but I don't think Enzo's going to get clear. Yes, he does. Enzo Vidmontien back clear. This is craziness. Stephen Miller to the inside. He gets through on Cabrera now, and Stephen Miller goes from 5th and 6th to the lead in about 3 laps. We are not even halfway yet, folks. This is 6 laps complete, I believe, if not maybe a little more. We'll wait on it to update there. There's a timing ticker. We're giving a little bit of trouble here tonight for the entire scoring system. Is very tight out of turn 5. Cabrera, Miller, Vidmontien with a big run coming out of it as they exit turn 6 and head through the sweeping corner. What a fight. 8 cars deep here, just past halfway, I believe, in this semi-pro final. They're still fighting coming out of the turn 8-9 complex. Look at Nick Terlecki. Look how far back Nate Cicero's fallen by a few failed over-unders. Jackson Wolney, the rookie, going to get roughed up a little bit there as he goes wide out of turn number 9. And up front, Stephen Miller on the bumper of Axel Cabrera trying to challenge him. So Axel still leading as they cross the line. 8 down, 9 down, working lap 9. Halfway, again, only halfway into this main. Cabrera to Miller to Vidmontien to Weinberg, and Miller's going to try that lead again. Vidmontien try to follow. He'll give a little hip check to Cabrera, who holds strong. Weinberg to the inside now. They're stuck together. The Kart Republic's banging tires. Cameron's trying to get clear. He's not quite clear, but he finally does as Vidmontien gives way to the veteran. And now Cameron to the inside of Cabrera. Cameron Weinberg to the inside of Axel Cabrera, and Stephen Miller with a massive lead. And now Vidmontien trying to go 3 wide to the inside on Cameron Weinberg. Side by side, the 2 Kart Republics not working together as they all try to get single file And now look at Weinberg nosing to the inside of Vidmontien. Gives it to the young gun. Terlecki gets around them all. Look at the lead for Stephen Miller here as they cross the line now with just 7 laps to go. Nick Terlecki has lacked the pace, it feels like, tonight to fight for the win. He had more of a 5th place car, but he has raced his way to 2nd, albeit for about 3 corners as Cameron Weinberg's trying to get through, and now he takes the inside lane through turn 6. Stephen Miller's lead is now up to about 1.8 seconds and counting as Weinberg has finally gotten clear of the traffic. So Cameron Weinberg, Enzo Vidmontien, chassis manufacturer teammates battling, have potentially opened this lead to Stephen Miller, and it might be over here as Vidmontien goes back to the inside of Terlecki. Can't quite get anything more than that, but it'll move him to 4th at least, and he's still within reach of getting to Axel Cabrera. Then it's Leonardo Scorpioni. Then there is ZCD. Welcome up here, Zach Clayman DeMello, Emma Scarborough, Alexander Vanchev. I mean, there are so many drivers in this pack here, but they're all 2 seconds away from Stephen Miller and still fighting. Scorpioni to the inside of Terlecki now in turn 5. Terlecki back on Leo, runs him wide. Here comes DeMello with a big run towards the sweeper. He might be able to pick off a few more as Leo gives a little right rear bump to Terlecki, a little bump and run in that sweeper section. DeMello following Terlecki, who sends it onto the curb, and now he's got a nose down low, and he's going to be able to pick them both off. ZCD with Nate Cicero to follow. Can they both get through? Terlecki gets popped into the wall. Big contact in front of the field. Leo Scorpioni, Vanchev, Jackson Wolney's involved. Oh, man. The 2 Zanella teammates nowhere to go for Alexander Vanchev as Nick Terlecki trying to keep it out of the wall. Turned back in, and then everybody just kind of popped tires, and Zach Clayman DeMello to 5th. Nate Cicero 6th. Stephen Miller still a 2-second lead as Cicero goes back around DeMello. So Nate Cicero back into the top 5. ZCD back to P6 on that Dan Devereaux Racing Cosmic chassis. Nate Cicero in that Mazda Motorsports Applegate Seed House Tony Kart. 5th and 6th right now, the duo. Stephen Miller, 2 seconds. It would be a massive undertaking if they could get to him here. Cameron Weinberg said earlier tonight if he wouldn't have come in just 0.2 of a pound underweight, he might have had something to fight for the race win with and be able to be up front all night. Well, he's up front now when it counts in the main. At the line, he picked off 0.3. It's going to be borderline if he can get there because we have 4 laps to go. Stephen Miller, Cameron Weinberg, Axel Cabrera, Enzo Vidmontien's not out of it either. He's got a slim chance to get back to the race lead and the win here in this semi-pro main event. Otherwise, Stephen Miller from 0 to hero here. If he can hang on to this one, crashing out of heat number 3 and getting the race win. So Stephen Miller's lead was 1.7 last time. I think he's definitely lost a lot of ground this time as well. Being able to get away early, it never looked to me like Stephen Miller had the fastest car on the racetrack in any of the heats where he ran up front. It was good for sure, top 5 car, top 3 car, but to be the car to win, I don't know if he's got it to outrun these guys. How much of a dent did they just make? That gap looks pretty small at the line, another 0.3. 1.4 seconds here with 3 laps to go. It's still not enough for them to catch him, and as soon as they battle, it's over at this point here. It's all on Weinberg. He goes a little wide in turn 5 that time, and Cabrera's closing in. This may just be a little bit too late to get to Stephen Miller here in this main event. All that battling between Cameron Weinberg and Enzo Vidmontien that stacked the field up and allowed Stephen Miller to get the lead that he's got. Weinberg finally, I think, starting to lose a little bit of ground to the race leader. He's picked up 0.3 a lap every lap for the last couple of laps. From 2.2, pushing 2.3, down to 2 seconds, down to 1.7, down to 1.4. And of course, it'll get accelerated when he's in the drafting window, but we're already down to the end of it. 2 laps to go. Here they are across the line. Miller's lead, 1.2 seconds. Still It's just too much here. 4 more laps, different story. 3 more laps added on, maybe different story, but 2 laps to go here at this point. At some point, these guys are probably going to fight for second and third, you would think. I can't imagine Axel Cabrera, in the hard work in that last-second effort, would be happy to just ride behind Cameron Weinberg, even when he had the chance to pass him. So we've seen Axel get aggressive. He's obviously holding out a little bit of hope that they could get to Miller, but, I mean, they would need to send it from an unbelievable amount of space backwards here. And he's not been close enough to push Cameron Weinberg either, is the unfortunate part. Weinberg's been towing them along, trying to get them up to this young man and Stephen Miller, and just hasn't quite been able to get there. This is a big boost of confidence, at least for Cameron, to have this kind of speed and be able to take that momentum into tomorrow. But as the white flag waves, it's down to 7/10. Man, 1 more lap, maybe 2. This is a different story. But Cameron Weinberg still not giving up, taking the normal line. A little narrow of a fade in there to turn number 5. Other than that, he's close. Miller just cruising at this point. If they could just work together and push for 1 straightaway, he might have been able to get there. He might have had a shot, or if they would have pulled their punches back on 1 lap or another, definitely a different outcome. But as they head to the back hairpin this time, Miller just doing a few more double takes over the shoulder to make sure that he's good. Cabrera is going to defend from Vidmontien, and Cameron Weinberg on the final run here is just not going to have enough. Up and over the curbing, Stephen Miller will hang on, maybe just barely, but whether it's an inch or a mile, he's going to be the winner of the semi-pro main event here. Stephen Miller wins it. Weinberg to Cabrera, your podium, who hangs on by about half a tenth over Enzo Vidmontien. Then Nate Cicero, then Zachary Clayman DeMello, Terlecki, Riley Ramroop, and Emma Scarborough with Eric Questo moving up into the top 10. Actually, he got around Ramroop on that final lap. That was a big midfield skirmish. Oh, as maybe a little bit of choice words there being displayed between the drivers on the racetrack. Some actions all around, because that was aggressive in the first bit. But Stephen Miller gets away, leads it to the end with Cameron Weinberg breathing down his neck. Cabrera, Vidmontien, Cicero, the top 5. And then how about it for Emma Scarborough, Eric Questo on that final lap. And Chase Gassey at Leo making up some spots. They move up to 8th, 9th, and 10th. De Alencar to 11th. Ramroop, Bailiff, 13th. And then on down. They all get to race tomorrow. But that does it for the night show here on Friday. We've got podiums and some post-race ceremonies to get through as well. Of course, there's a look right at him. Cameron Weinberg going to push up and onto the scale in the number 62 Kart Republic. And a good one, just not enough. And I'm sure that one's got a bite for Cameron Weinberg. At least for Stephen Miller, he gets the win and a free Pro Tour entry to next weekend, along with, I believe, some tires for the podium here for night 1 of the Norberg Pro-Kart Invitational. But he just needs to find, I think, a little more speed, or maybe it'll come on the softer tire tomorrow, because, man, were the Kart Republics behind, and even Axel Cabrera on that Tony kart. Between Vidmontien, Cameron Weinberg, and Cabrera, Stephen Miller, I think, maybe needs a little more speed to fight for the $10,000 in tomorrow's main event. At least, though, he learned he could race his way to the win. A good run in it as he comes through the line. There was Vidmontien going through. And surprisingly enough, in that melee of a semi-pro main event, really didn't have.
Then we just let first place go, and I don't get it. Why?
All right, Enzo Vidmontien is going to not let the leader go tomorrow, but a valiant effort to drive through some pain. Thanks, Enzo.
There you have it from Enzo Vidmontien here. That's one of our top finishers. We'll chat with the rest of them as they continue to roll through the scale line. Of course, congratulations in order for Stephen Miller. Gets the win here in the semi-pro feature race as the last few drivers begin to work their way through the scale line and take a look at the results here. There's the congratulations to Stephen, and a big smile on his face there after the way the main event ended up. Cameron Weinberg, of course, ends up a close P2, drove his tail off to hunt down Stephen Miller by the end of it all. But as we watch them roll through the scale area, the top few drivers go into tech inspection. Not going to be a full teardown because those motors got to be ready to run tomorrow night as well. And for Stephen Miller, again, speed may not be where he wanted to be, but pace, but at least racecraft-wise, it's a good end to the evening here. Dave?
Okay, Stephen Miller, that was a dominant win. I mean, looks like the kart's good after the incident earlier. So how did it feel in the cockpit?
Felt really good. I had a lot more grip, surprisingly, and throughout the field it was tough getting through the start, but I managed to get up to, I think, P5 at the start from 11th, which is, pretty good already. So going through the race, though, we ended up going through more people, and we ran down some of the leaders. Me and, what's his name? The kid on the KR.
I'm not very good at names either, bro.
Me and him worked together. We got to the front, and I got in the lead, and Enzo made a pass in third, and they all started wrecking. So yeah, karma back there, good for me because I was able to get up front and go.
So we're adding 10 pros to the field tomorrow. Some guys that you might not have even raced against yet. So obviously that's going to up the difficulty level. Do you think you can win this thing tomorrow?
I think it's going to be a challenge, but I will be there for sure. I'm going to get it done.
And Nutella Pizza's on you, right, if you win?
Yeah, for sure.
Stephen Miller, the winner. Let's bring Cameron in here. Well, you've been confident. You're right up front. You're right where you need to be. We're adding 10 pros to the field tomorrow. What can you do and what can you bring to the table and try to mix it up for the big money tomorrow?
We'll definitely be better tomorrow. It's kind of disappointing. I got a bumper penalty before we even took the green flag. The guys in front of me hit the brake, and I knew I kind of had a target on my back the race, and it was hard because they knew I was quick. So I kind of expected that. But second place, running Miller down the last few laps. But I think with the softer tire, we'll be way better.
So why is that? Why is your kart in particular perform better on the softer tire?
It's just driving style, and the way that you roll the speed around here is definitely going to fit us better, for sure. Like, just the whole go-kart is meant to be free, so with the grippier tires, it'll work better.
All right, good stuff, Cameron. We'll see you tomorrow. Let's bring in Axel. All right, so it looked good. You were up front. You were right about where I expected you to be, right running in the front. You got 10 pros that you're going to have to race with tomorrow. The difficulty level going into tomorrow, and what did you learn out there today?
I haven't raced in a while, like single speed, so I definitely learned to deal with that and battle everybody. And now I feel like I'm good there, but for sure the 12 pros that are coming in tomorrow are heavy hitters, so that'll be a challenge, but we're looking forward to it. And yeah, just want to have fun, honestly.
So when you were racing the three other leaders out there, the four of you guys were pretty clearly the class of the field tonight. Did you learn anything running with them all together for the first time tonight, and is that something you can take into tomorrow?
Yeah, I actually thought we were a little bit slower, and that when we had the long race it would be more difficult to keep up, but we learned that in the long run and towards the end of the race we have a good kart and the speed.
Had first all 23 drivers ready to go. And we'll pull those highlights up here in just a moment from the semi-pro main event of the Norberg Pro-Kart Invitational. But we'll go through that main event, of course. What a result for Stephen Miller. But like we heard there from Enzo Vidmontien, wanting to get through. And we definitely heard some drivers kind of get a little bit chirpy with each other here this evening as the quick back and forth, rack 'em up style racing that we're expecting tomorrow with 3 stages of the main event. Of course, cutting the bottom 5 off of every stage break, having a short pre-final, having just a qualifying and running through everything with just 10 to 15 minutes to work on the cars in between the sessions is going to be a quick turnaround. It's going to put these drivers in a box, and it's going to really make them squirm a little bit. And I think that's why we're going to see so many guys that are going to be looking to try and make some aggressive moves like what we saw tonight. And hopefully it'll be entertaining enough for us. So let's take a look here as we get underway from the semi-pro main event. First of all here, it is, of course, on the inside, Axel Cabrera there on the Tony kart. Leo Scorpioni hung on strong on the outside to kick things off. And then they all fanned out. For the first time they were all together, they all made it through turns one, really the opening lap, decently well. Definitely a bit of aggressive driving coming out of turn number 5, but not too bad, all things considered. Now, that said, when they got underway, just by about lap 2 or 3, things really began to kick off. And it started as these two young guns carved their way up the grid. Because the Scorpione, well, he was leading early on. Nate Cicero there closing in on Axel Cabrera. And then there was the move with Cicero getting passed by Enzo Vidmontien. As he got up to the lead, things started to change a little bit because early they were all waiting. Then you had some of these crazy 3 wide moves for the lead. Vidmontien getting over-undered by Cabrera, going from first to third, back to first, and then 3 wide again for the lead. This is where it all ended and went wrong, or almost did that time, but later on it did for Leonardo Scorpione. The first time on the outside really got burned a few spots. The second time, much worse. Here's some more 3 wide action. Vidmontien all the way up onto the curbing. Cabrera even got a little bit sideways off a bit of help from Nate Cicero. And then as they go through the sweeper here, this group was just backing up, and all this defending and back and forth action we've had is just turned it from 2 to 4 to 6, and then it felt like we had about half the field in the lead group by the midway point in this race because, I mean, they were just everywhere. All of the major passing zones on the inside, the outside, in the middle, I mean, just continuing to fight all the way through. Then turn number 5 here as they come out of 5 over to turn number 6. Through the corner, side by side, 2 by 2 for the lead. Stephen Miller back to Axel Cabrera, then to Cameron Weinberg and Enzo Vidmontien through the sweeper. Now, Vidmontien right here inside, 3 wide on Cameron Weinberg. And this is, again, Enzo being a younger driver saying, I don't get why these guys don't work together, but he threw it 3 wide down the inside on Cameron, and that was a big loss in terms of time to Stephen Miller. Well, then it ultimately allowed Nick Terlecki to get through, and Weinberg, when he finally got through at Terlecki, then you had this massive incident here with the Scorpione and company all colliding down there in the exit of the hairpin. Alexander Vanchev involved. Terlecki was into the wall, and that finally split this massive pack up. So as the checkered flag flies, we watched it, of course, with Stephen Miller coming across the line and winning the semi-pro main event, but not by much. They were tracking him down. A little bit longer main, things might change. We got double the length tomorrow, but it's broken up into stages, and it all comes back again tomorrow evening with qualifying kicking off at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Of course, if you're watching any of Kart Chasers coverage this weekend, you know we're live from Charlotte Motor Speedway here in, well, just about 10 hours. At 8 a.m. Eastern, we kick things off for the CKNA Spring Nationals. Over 500 drivers, and a lot of them going in blind after a completely rain-soaked practice day with finally some clear skies rolling in for tomorrow and Sunday's action. And, of course, as that stream comes to an end right around 7, 8 p.m., well, that's when we'll get back underway here with the Norberg Pro-Kart Invitational with qualifying and the pre-final exclusive to premium members, and then for free, the main show coming your way tomorrow night to go for $10,000 in the final stage and $2,500 for each of the 2 lead-up stages. My name's Andrew Clements here with the Kart Chaser crew for a doubleheader 3-day weekend of action. Thank you for watching. We'll see you bright and early tomorrow for CKNA, and you'll see me tomorrow night to close out the Norberg Pro-Kart Invitational.